Okay, it's gone. So we're thinking about the negative daily experiences, and we're thinking about positive daily experiences and how those experiences impact our mental health well-being. We think about good mental health is not just because somebody is ill, but it is something that helps us to create a balance in our lives. And people cope with stresses, people cope with work, people cope with parenting as wives, as mothers, as it's to do with how your mental health and how well or you're sort of managing that. It also involves mental health, involves a regulation of emotions, how we regulate our emotions. And Islamically, when we're thinking about mental health, we are thinking about it from a holistic perspective. So that means we are thinking about psychological health as a multidimensional space. It encompasses our overall health and well-being. So we don't separate mental health from how we are working every day. So it involves physical health. For your mental health well-being, your diet is important. Whether you're exercising, whether you take regular checkups with the doctors, your hygiene level, all that involves mental. It contributes to your mental health well-being. Emotional health, that means we're aware of feelings, how we feel positive, how we feel negatively. I think one of the things that I quote at the end of the talk that has just been done, there was an idea of talking about anger and who is angry and who is not angry. One of the ways we think about mental health well-being, especially through emotional awareness, it's when we're not when there's a disconnect. So we're actually disconnected there's a disconnect between how we feel and what we are thinking. So from an Islamic perspective, when we're thinking about it from a very holistic perspective, we're thinking about awareness of feelings, both positive and negative, and the ability to regulate them in a healthier way. So that's how we think about it. Social and behavior health is also included in the mental health when we're thinking about it from an Islamic perspective. That means our relationships, our interactions with others are healthy and functional, and the ability to accept and enjoy happiness, and also to recognize and resolve conflict. So all those things that I'm describing, I'm now taking us a journey towards the Islamic perspective, whereby we're thinking about mental health as a holistic approach. And then there's spiritual health. Spiritual health is our connection and relationship with Allah, the idea of dhikr, dua, as well as completing all the mandatory requirements like salah and everything else, fasting and that. So when all these areas are balanced and working in harmony, we can achieve the ideal mental health. However, mental health is not fixed. Depending on where you are and what's happening in your life, it's normally fluid. So we need to regularly and constantly work on finding this balance and achieving those better states in our mental health. So I'm going to give the summary one more time. So the mental health from an Islamic perspective, we're thinking about the physical health, we're thinking about the mental health, which is our thoughts, positive or negative, the emotional health, the awareness of how we are feeling and the ability to regulate our emotions, social and behavior, that's how we are in relationships and our capacity and ability to resolve conflict, and spiritual health. So that's how we think about mental health from an Islamic perspective. So what are the hidden impacts on relationships? What are the hidden impacts of relationships on our mental health? There are some hidden things that happen in relationships and they have an impact on our mental health. So what are those? Relationships, healthy or unhealthy, affect our overall well-being across the physical health, emotional health, thinking, social life, and our environment. Healthy relationships can reduce stress. They can improve sleep and strengthen our immune function. And healthy relationships tend to create the opposite effect. So that means that we are extremely stressed if we're in relationships that are not very healthy. That means that then that can impact your sleep and it can impact everything else. Relationship conflict, emotional distance, and the lack of trust, all that can trigger mental health challenges. And long-term relationships, when you're in a long-term relationship and your relationships are creating that intensity of emotion, then there's a higher risk of starting to develop diagnosable mental health, like things like, anxiety, depression, sleep problems, and sometimes it can even include our inability to control our behaviors. Sometimes you feel low self-esteem, you don't like yourself, you don't go out, so then it becomes really a problem. So really, our relationships are quite important. And how we are in relationships is very important. So when we are in relationships that are out of sync, out of balance, maybe slightly oppressive or very oppressive, all that impacts our mental health. So with that, I don't know if people wanted to come into a discussion about mental health, or shall I just go through all the bullet points I was given and then we'll open it up for discussion. I don't know who is managing the.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister.
Who am I speaking to? I can't see you.
You are speaking. I know you are speaking with Ida.
Okay, Ida. So what should
Ida from New York.
Okay, I was given bullet points. And so I just thought I'll introduce each bullet point and then we can have a discussion and have questions. So should I just discuss all the bullet points or should we do one at a time?
I mean, you can discuss the bullet points and then we go into discussion.
Okay, brilliant. So that was the first bullet point I was given to think about, which
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The first bullet point was to do with mental health, and I've just given a little introduction. So the first introduction I gave was what we learn in mental health, that this is what we need, and then I've given the Islamic angle. So the second bullet point I was given was financial empowerment. And so I was thinking about what do we need to think about there, that empowering women financially. So financial empowerment for women means acquiring skills, confidence, and resources to manage money independently and to secure long-term stability. That's what really financial empowerment means. Islam grants women full economic independence. Islam allows women to own property, to run businesses, and to inherit wealth from their parents or from their children. If you're a woman and you have children, and we are allowed to inherit. And women are not obliged to contribute their earnings to household expenses. And so therefore, because this responsibility doesn't fall on women, Islamically speaking. And so these rights they were established over 1400 years, and it enables women to work, to invest, to trade, to achieve financial independence while observing, obviously, your modesty as a Muslim woman. And so when we are thinking about the idea of empowerment, financial empowerment for women, we're really thinking about the fact that women have the right to own their own wealth. And we know we have the example of Khadija radiallahu anha, who used to own her own wealth. Then women have the right to inherit. They can inherit, they can possess, they can manage their property without interference from any male relatives. Then women get the marriage gift, which is the mahar. That's her gift. She can do what she wants with it. And then women have no earnings obligation. Now, I know we're living in the West where life can be quite expensive and demanding, and therefore sometimes people have to work together, both husband and wife. But I think it's quite empowering to know that women don't have an earning obligation. And then we're thinking about what else brings or introduces financial empowerment. We're thinking about education. Women are encouraged to pursue education, opening doors to professions in where they can then go through that idea of financial independence or financial empowerment. And the distinction between Islam and culture, while Islam upholds these rights, cultural practices sometimes can be limiting agents. Women can be limited from financial empowerment because of the cultural background. And that is something that I know I work with every day in my work. The next bullet point I was given was the spousal abuse. So how do we discuss or describe spousal abuse? Spousal abuse usually referred to as intimate partner violence. It is widely recognized as a severe cause of mental ill health, and it's a violation of a person's mental health well-being. It is a pattern of behaviors used to gain power and control. And this can directly cause or significantly worsen mental health conditions. And it's also important to consider the impact on the whole family. So when there is that spousal abuse, it doesn't just impact the person who is experiencing whatever the nature of the abuse is, it actually impacts everyone in the household, especially the children. So the forms, there are so many different ways that spousal abuse shows up in families. It could be physical and it can also be mental. Now, in my field of work, it's very, very difficult to measure, to quantify mental abuse or spiritual abuse or emotional abuse. It's very difficult to quantify that. It's easier to quantify the physical aspect of it. So mental abuse specifically targets a person's psychological and emotional well-being, often with the same or greater severity as the physical form. And it includes coercive control. So it could be that people are isolated when people are in that spousal abuse relationship, and if it's not physical, it can be mental. One of the things that happens is it's coercive control. The partner is isolated and it's regulating their daily behavior and controlling their finances. And then there's the idea of gaslighting, making somebody doubt their own memory, their own perception, their own sanity. Or there is verbal abuse. And verbal abuse could be something like constant criticism, yelling, humiliating, blaming, and threatening also can be a form of spousal abuse. There's threats of hurting you and hurting the children, I'll take the kids, those kinds of things. So all those things can impact. They fall under the spousal abuse, and they can impact somebody's daily functionality when there's any of that form. Either it's mental or it's physical. Okay. My next bullet point. So then the spousal abuse also takes a cycle. There's a cycle of abuse and mental health. So abuse frequently will be combined with warmth and kindness and apologies, which confuses the person. either the husband or the wife. It creates a confusion because 1 minute there was a verbal comment that has been made, and the next minute there's the warmth, there's the kindness, there's an apology. And I think there's some people who will be told, you see, if you didn't do that, this wouldn't have happened. And so then people get confused. So that's a cycle that we know. And this can make it difficult for people who are going through the spousal abuse to recognize the behavior as abuse. And so either you end up making a lot of excuses. No, he doesn't mean it. It was my fault. If I didn't do this, that wouldn't have happened. Or we just deny that it's not happening. So that's quite important to think about the cycle when we're thinking about women going through, or men, we know that it can be both. And the next thing that I had on the bullet point, which I didn't quite understand where we want to take it, but we will decide together, there was an idea about career networking. And so I thought career networking involves building long-term, mutually beneficial relationships to discover, to gain industry insights and find mentors. That's one. It could also be something around effective networking requires a proactive approach. And the other bit was it's attending events to find out what is going on, career events, workshops, and to help you meet professionals in the field. I couldn't work out what else was needed on thinking.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Walaikum salam warahmatullah.
Samahani Bibi Rahma, unaweza kawacha hiyo itakuwa siku ingine
Okay.
inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.
Barakallah
And
fik.
the final bullet point that I have is raising children. So we're thinking about raising children. So what do we need to think about? We're thinking about it. It is something that involves the biggest sacrifice. Anyone who is raising children, anyone who has ever raised children, we know that it involves the biggest sacrifice you can make. What does it mean for mothers, especially, is you put your life on hold to really raise your children and to be present and to do all that. And it is a very weighty responsibility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us children, and He has given us the role of leadership in their lives. But also He's told us, like I think in the talk earlier, we know that kullukum ra'in, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us about our flock. We want to think about us when we're thinking about parenting. It's not about the children, it's about the parents, how we are. 4 things are needed, period. For any parent who is parenting, you need to be present. But your presence is not just you being in the space. You need to be present physically, which is being in the space. You need to be present mentally. So you can mentalize. There's something we do in my work, helping parents to mentalize their children. You need to be present mentally. You need to be present spiritually, and you need to be present emotionally. Those are 4 ingredients needed for people who are present in raising their children. We need to lead by example. When we're thinking about the idea of raising children, we are thinking about focusing. It's a journey that focuses on love, nurturing their unique potential, guidance, focus on the connection. The goal is to develop a holistic, a fully developed human being. It's not just focusing on achieving high achievements and we're not actually focusing on perfection, because perfection doesn't exist. We can do everything with excellence, but perfection is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is perfect, and He's the only one who can do everything perfectly. We can do things with excellence, with ihsan. So the attitude, leading, and we need to lead by example. It's not do as I say, but we're teaching children how to be. And those children are going to learn how to be, not by us yapping at them and telling them what to do. They're always watching us. And so they're going to learn from what we are doing rather than what we are saying. So they're always watching. We need to be positive role models, and we have to embody the values we are teaching. So if you want your child to learn to be honest, you have to be in your dealings that they're watching you, they're seeing you with them, with their mom or dad or your family. They have to see the values you are trying to pass on to them in action, that you live by those values. They're hearing our words and they're watching our actions. So that's quite important for us to remember, that children learn more from that. And then we need to think about our attitudes as parents. What is our attitude as role models? Okay, because children will learn. They don't remember. Children will learn from us. They don't remember what we are teaching them, but they will remember who we are as a person. So now I work with adults and they'll tell me, when I was growing up, my father was an angry person. So they remember who the father was, but not necessarily what they were taught. And then from an Islamic perspective, we think about it from a very holistic approach. It focuses on nurturing the whole child, the physical aspect, the emotional aspect, the social aspect, the cognitive aspect. We are thinking about the moral and the spiritual, rather than just focusing on behaviors and academics. We are also thinking about a deep emotional connection, mindful communication, which I've already mentioned, that you need to be present. And we also think about their health. So it's very important for us to think about what children are eating, for example. How are we feeding them a balanced meal? Because we are nurturing not only their body, we are also nurturing their mind. And we know that food can impact some behaviors. Now, in my work, when I worked at one of the hospitals, I used to work in a CAMS service. We were based in a hospital, and I used to see children who were referred to a psychiatrist, and there was no diagnosis. And so they would be referred to me now to do some work with. Some of those families, I just helped them to review their diet, the children's diet, what to cut out, what to include, and the behaviors that they were looking for a diagnosis for. They didn't need a diagnosis because those behaviors changed with diet. So all those things are very important, and Islam thinks about all that. So when we're raising children from an Islamic perspective, holistically, that involves what we are feeding our children. And also setting firm boundaries is very important, because it allows children to develop resilience, empathy, and a strong sense of being. I think sometimes when we confuse love, and because we love, we become very permissive. We are giving lots of permission because we think that's love. But we know that psychologically and mentally, if children grow up without boundaries, they don't know how to feel safe, and they don't feel safe. So boundaries develop safety. Yes, children will try to push, but you need boundaries. And you need to be on the same page as parents. If you are in an opportunity of being in a couple relationship, you need to be on the same page. You can't be contradicting. But everything we do with Rahmah, we do with love, we do with compassion, we do with justice. As long as children don't feel that we are being unfair, they learn. So it's how you deliver your learning to the children. Those are my 9 bullet points, and those are my introductions to the 8 bullet points that I was given, and those are the introductions. So we've been given permission to chop one, so we're not going into the career networking. So that means we have 7. Bismillah. I don't know where we want to go, but yeah, I've done the introduction. So now
Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Rahmah.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So now
some of say it again.
Are we taking questions? Are we doing discussions? How are we going?
We are going to do discussion, and I think I'm going to be number 1 because really where I'm affected as a parent here in America,
Yeah.
I'm affected because America, we don't have babysitters like that. We depend on daycare. Honestly, my parents don't want to stay here in America. They want to stay back home. So big part, I'm a very, very hardworking Muslim, okay? My husband is a very strong Muslim. However, we both have children.
Yes.
And we both have different careers.
Yes.
And that made us to put our kids in daycare. So my kids, before they knew Luganda, okay, when I was raising them, stayed home. However, that's where I was going career networking. I ended up getting tired of being home, with the kids and all that, because mentally I was going a little bit nuts because I have twins. So we put one in. Yeah, you see what I'm talking about? So me having twins mentally and physically, they were honestly draining me. Yes, and I became dehydrated, ended up in the hospital. So I had to tell one of my doctors, and the doctors, honestly, she decided to come in my home to take care of the babies while I go to sleep. That was a plus. I couldn't even pay her enough. Me and my husband, we couldn't pay anything. Because seeing here in America, a doctor to come and stay in your home and give you a break, I don't take it for granted. However, where it drives us really like raising them to speak our language and all that, because at the end of the day, my kids can't speak even fluent Luganda. They can hear, but they can't speak it. It hurts me. I don't know how I would have done it. Right now, I can tell you, they blame me. Mom, it's your fault. But also, as a mother, I'm trying to say, I didn't have anyone, as I'm taking you to school. At the same time, myself, I needed to go back to school to get a career. So, because here in America, if you don't go to school to get a good career, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't speak for anyone else. I speak as me, as Ida. I realized that really, also as a woman, I need a career to help my husband out. And having 4 kids is not easy financially to let my husband do it. He did it, but I felt like, you know what, as they grow, they're going to go to college, they're going to do this, so the demand is going to be there. Now, when they went to school, of course, they befriended friends. It was not easy to pull them away to where they belong.
Of course.
Where they belong, peer pressure, all that. So sometimes I think as you have twins, anyway, I can give a good example, twins. One twin would say, oh, Mom, you don't like me. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, I gave birth to both of you. I do. How can I even balance it if one child? So mentally, that is my thing, which really, really made me struggle with it. And that's where I needed some help. How can I do that? If any parent on this platform can help, because if your own twin tell you, oh, Mom, or even they tell my husband, oh, Dad doesn't seem to love me more, they love so and so more, and all that. So like you talked about love, empathy, and boundaries, which I do. Actually, I'm more strict than their father. Their father's never beaten them. I have done that, and it's illegal here in America. But
they're the twins.
Huh?
How old?
They're 18 now.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah, but I beat them up.
Sister, ekyo tokiddamu naddala mu luzungu, tokiddamu gundi zino tuziteeka ku gundi.
I don't know what I should say, but
nkwegaye tokiddamu ekyo, nkwegaye
Aterachi mbulira.
ojja tuteeka mu buzibu.
Anti kyengezaako gamba it's illegal here. It is illegal.
Nawa wonna nkwegaye tokiteekamu. Programu tokiteeka ku YouTube.
Okay.
Tuli charity.
To life.
Tuli regulated kale. Ekito kitekamu lisi oyinza okireta mu lulimi waliwo obadde okomye ajat Rahmah abakitegedde bulungi nnyo.
Abadde akitegedde. Okay, Rahmah atayogera the same language. I felt like okay, tategedde. Okay, waba kategedde. Okay.
Yogera mu Luganda.
Wanji nyabo.
My sister Ida.
Wanji nyabo.
Njogera naye siri fluent.
Oh, okay. Alhamdulillah. Ntiddo kate kamsimanyi Rahmah when they told us that you don't speak too much Luganda, you speak Swahili. I don't speak Swahili, so I was kind of worried. Kale kati mchecho naye like okuba sibba kubanga oba kisoundinze harsh munsonyiwe era haji mkwaya munsonyiwa but nabakubamu akago era wana bamanyi nti akago mama leta akago. So, but not harsh.
Kakati is 18.
Yes.
Kakati, what is
very strict on them.
Kakati, what is the issue just now?
Omulongo mwangamba ne mama gwe basayana kigamba nze not even their father mama gwe oyagala ono nnyo kati kinkaluubiriza oba kitegeera
Kakati. Remember when I was talking about mental health?
Yes.
I spoke about self-awareness.
Yes.
From a very Islamic perspective. You know, there is something about being reflective. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He speaks about reflection, reflective, using our mind more than 750 times. So the practice of reflection is so important in how we are as human beings and believers. So you need to step out and start to think, what am I doing that is making one twin feel less loved? That's the question you need to answer. So how do you answer the question? You need to be so connected to yourself. You need to know what you do and how you do it. When they start telling you, you don't treat me the same as, that's an easy answer.
Okay.
When you have more than one child and they say, but mama, you don't treat me the same as you treat so-and-so. You say, that's true. I don't treat you the same. It's very important for us as parents to acknowledge that we don't treat them the same. Why?
Okay.
Because they are not the same.
Okay.
They're not one, they're two.
Yes.
Just like you as their mama.
Yes.
You know, you're not the same mama to the two children.
Oh.
Each child will experience you as a different mama. You know, I can work with siblings and I will hear two different moms being described. So now you see your twin says you love that one more. When they are talking about you, they will not talk about you in the same way like the first twin, who is more loved, whatever that is. But you need to understand what they mean. Do they mean you're more softer with the other one? And if that is the case, is the other one more in tune with you? They listen more, they're more obedient. Because you know, the way you show that love and the one feels it less more than the other, it also depends on the child themselves. A difficult child and a non-difficult, the way you are dealing with them is going to be different. So the answer to the question is, you need to step back and observe yourself. What are you doing with one twin differently that indicates that you love this one more than the other? It's not about you defending yourself. It's not about you saying that's not true, because it's their experience, not yours. It is how they're experiencing you in the space.
Oh, okay, in the space. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Because
but
mentally,
in our cultural backgrounds, we'll just say, "Kwenenda uko twala eri olimba." No.
Mm.
Sikulimba kubanga ye kifo kyalimu
Mm.
bwatyo bw'abiraba.
Bw'alowooza.
Si kulowooza kyokka. It's not just in the mind.
Mm.
Each child is different. And you know, maybe the child that the other child feels you love, maybe they're giving you more love.
That's so true.
So if they're giving you more love, you're going to respond in kind. So you're going to be giving. You know, it's a very reciprocal process. If you give me love, I give you love. The more love you give me, the more love I give you. Do you see? And the person looking up, they can see that process happening. I don't know if I'm making sense. Making sense?
It does make sense. I really, really appreciate, because honestly, I was mbadde nkyogera nnyo oba even no kigamba my husband nti bannange omulongo anzita
Ate ekirala tula
Mm.
naye nyumya mwambie let's go for coffee, let's go for a hot chocolate, sit down hivi face to face, say tell me, I really want to know what I need to do differently, because in my heart and in my emotion, I think I love you the same. But tell me, what have you seen that I do differently? So have a talk. They're 18 now. They're born here. You know, the way they
Yes.
think, the way they talk is different. They're adults.
Yes, they're adults. Ate n'ekirala kye nali nsuubira nti, you know, now oba banyiigira, I don't know, nange ndowooza mental health enkutteko, kubanga nalowooza oba banyiigidde nti bannange oba mbawabuddemuko, kubanga wano mu America olina okuba oludda ng'oli mukambwe naddala maama, okambuwalamu olw'ensonga emu, w'otoba mukambwe ennyo bawaba, wotuba w'ekisenyi ennyo nakyo kijjira. Kwegamba okusinziira kyali eyo balance eyo si ya nnyangu nnyo, ng'ate obakuliza wano, ng'ate n'olulimi kwegamba nga era wondaba njogera naawe I mix English and Luganda, okiraba nga nabo bwe nti we ba mixingira, kati ne ngamba oba babuze oba bawabyemu.
No. Umani, if your children are bilingual, if they have there's a big campaign here in the UK in all the maternity wards. You know, historically, they used to teach people who migrated to only speak English to their children, so that the children, by the time the children go to school, they can speak English. But now with research and language development and culture, they're encouraging people to say, speak to your baby in your language, because they will pick up English as soon as they go to school. And you know, there's research in my work that shows that we can be better and effective parents if we can express ourselves in the language that we feel. So you can feel in your first language better than you feel in the second language. So you speak to them in your language completely. Me, I raised my children here, all four, alhamdulillah, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
But I spoke at home Kiswahili. Because you know, you can do everything in how you feel it and how you understand it. English is a language that it's a second language.
Yes.
If I want to show them that I'm not happy, in English, sometimes you'll start using words that don't fit.
Yes.
Like in Kiswahili, when my kids were little, I just say, wet.
Great.
Then they know, okay, I have to stop. That's it. Where do you find where in English?
I don't know even how to say way.
So yeah, but I think now, because they're 18, you can have a conversation, and you just need to observe yourself and watch yourself. And if maybe, you know, sometimes maybe if you're eating a chocolate and the other one comes and you give them, and this one comes and you don't, because they're a bit not as emotional as the other one, you have to work hard a little bit, and you have to tell them, reassure them that I'm sorry, that's how you feel, but truly and honestly, I love you both equally.
Thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah. Someone else wants to come in?
iPhone, you have your hand up. Kueleza kazindalo. iPhone babiddamu oggulewo.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Sulaiman Tenyo. I'm glad this topic is coming through for mainly concerned with women. Yeah. But I also try to contribute since my wife has opened the floor for the Ummah. So, sister, I'm very pleased and honored to be able to address this the situation like parenting kids overseas and abroad. Mm-hmm. For me, being in a public figure, I've always been exposed to different ways of treating people with integrity. My boys are raised here, but like culturally, I've tried to integrate the good parenting aspect of it from the overseas and also from back home, because I know my father was very, very strict. Yeah. Most of you guys who have not known me publicly, my father never wanted me to become a professional soccer player. Initially, that was his dream. But academically, I come from a background which is very sounding solid. But most people know me as a professional soccer player. But I've also been educated on a higher level in the US because I came here as a student, not as a professional soccer player. So when it comes to parenting, I've done it when I came to the States. One of the things I realized, and one of the reasons why I chose to marry from back home, is like at one point I was like trying to fit in the society to find out why is it so hard for people who came here before us, and why are you obsessed with the background like when you're parenting and you have two different backgrounds of parenting, it becomes so hard. But our situation is a little bit unique. Where I found challenge was raising kids, speaking the Luganda, and all those things. But some of them were minor to me. I tried to embrace the good things about it. My wife was a little bit challenging. Being a stay mom in a couple of years was one of the reasons why she was supposed to become also to choose a career which would benefit both of us. So addressing the point of parenting mainly is I'm going to mix also to people who understand Luganda very well because I can speak fluently, which is not a problem.
No problem.
So kati ngenda kwogera Oluganda abantu abatogera Luganda basobola okuba nga bategeera kye mbadde njogerako. So kati nze bwe najja mu America sajja wano mbu najja kukola ki kusamba mupiira ng'abantu abasinga bwe balowooza. Najja kusoma because I was running away from embeera gye nali nkuliddemu e Uganda. Our parents were very strict. My parent was very, very strict on sports. Ne Allah n'aba nga yali yampa talent which was very different from other people. So kati bwe nalabanga okuraisinga abaana mu America n'okuraisinga abaana e Uganda, I picked the both things, ebintu ebirungi ku side ya kubanga nali raised e Uganda n'okubenga ne mu America nembigatta nensobola okuba nga abaana bange engeri gye mbayisaamu. Mukyala wange ayogeddeko okubeera nze siri very strict because I'm a person who is very laid back.
Kankubuuzemu bwe tuba tugamba strict, what does strict look like? What is strict?
For me, being strict kati okusinziira nga bwe ngamba parenting, I'm also a friend to my kids. But also I have boundaries. I don't try to make them feel comfortable.
There I would come in to say when we are thinking about it from a parenting perspective and
yes.
a boundaried perspective, you're friendly but not their friend.
Exactly.
Because if you take a friendship role, you cannot be boundaried and you lose your parental role. So we can be friendly.
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was always telling my wife. I was always trying to balance because for me, in my my position, I don't parent only my kids only.
You see, I've confused you. You've gone back to English. You were speaking Kiganda.
Okay, Luganda. Yeah, because I've stayed here longer. Also, nekyo kyekizibu ekimu kye ndaba kuba kati nze naveeka abantu abasinga baali bampulira nga ndi mu public figure, but I came when I was very young. Okay. So by that time I was also transiting from being like in a public figure in Uganda. Kwanza nave Uganda long time ago. So kati abantu abasinga beerabira. Ate my father, being a very academic, but is one of the father, one of the brightest man I've ever known. Is like yatukuzanga okusoma first. Naye kati ate mu culture gye nvaamu, obanga oli musambi wa mupiira oba oli muyimbi, abantu baku-associatinga nnyo ekintu ky'okola ne beerabira bina ate n'abo abantu abakuraisinga differently. So my father was more strict academic. Abantu abamanyi muzadde wange yali ng'asobola n'okuyimiriza omupiira n'agamba genda osome n'oba nga webba budde okukola ebintu ebimu bye wali osobola okukola. Kati ate abaana bange mba raisinga differently to give them a chance which I was never given. Bwe mba nga n'eddiini yennyini strictly nasobola okuba nga ndaraisingako abaana ne tubafunira basheyi by that time nga babasomesa eddiini mu America, naye nga it was not giving me what I wanted. Paka bwe nagenda e Uganda ne nfuna sheyi omuto asobola okurelatinga nabo n'aba nga asobola obasomesa eddiini ku Zoom, nga Zoom zaakatandika, which I appreciate very, very, very well. Because like parenting in abroad, it brings a lot of stress. Ate nga my line of work, I was always traveling. Nenga ndaba parenting was not enough for me just financially okubanga omuntu omuwa sente. Nenga physically I was always there, but I was always on the road. I was always traveling. So kati where I give credit to my wife, I give her credit. Engeri gye turaisinzeemu abaana baffe. N'okubanga ate nga she has also been a mother who is like strict on the other side. So kati sigenda kwogera bingi ku point because this is a platform for women, but I wanted just to contribute from what I've seen in real life.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We had someone's hand up, but I think they've gone.
No, I think that was him.
Oh, okay.
We named him so that we know who is talking.
Okay, mashallah. So, okay.
Sheikh Abbas Sebogenda Maso. Sheikh Njuchi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam.
Sister, we are so great. I'm honored to have you.
I am more grateful.
Yeah, especially when you are wearing like that. Most people, they thought that, oh, abababeera bantu ndowooza bakambwe nnyo, but never judge.
I work and I've worked in the NHS for many years as a psychotherapist, and I work with families, and so alhamdulillah, we're here to live and to serve.
Very true. And even never judge a book according to its cover. Abantu bategeere nti ennyambala yo, it's Islamic code as well. If someone wants to take it. But back to the point, I'm so grateful that you have mentioned how a parent should be. If we have a problem in this, especially country, I could say, in Uganda, I didn't have kids. I only had all my kids in this country.
Mashallah.
And bintu ebisinga bye ntunuuliddeko ndi mu community olaba nti abantu abamu, especially here, when they came here and they heard that you cannot discipline your child. Discipline gye mmanyi Uganda, and all of them gye baali balowooza tokuba mwana tokola ki, kati ne balowooza if you come over here and you start disciplining them in any way, bo balowooza ddala nti omwana tomugambako. Kati ye omwana n'omugambako is gonna bajja kuyita police, social worker will come and this. Kati ne kiba nti abaana baffe bangi, we have lost them that way. So bw'ozze n'oyogerako engeri gy'oyinza okudisciplininga omwana oba kale okubeera friendly but not friend, olaba nti kikola sense, especially ng'oyogera nnyo mu lulimi lw'Oluganda. I'm not gonna say all my kids they speak Luganda, naye ate bawulira Oluganda.
Just like the same as mine. My children, they don't speak, they can't get into a conversation. They speak Kiswahili, they answer in Kizungu.
That's it. So,
but the fact, I'll come back to you in a minute. I have my little boy. May Allah have mercy on himself now. Allah has taken him back. But he had a friend and they're playing and he's not listening. So I'm telling him, where? Stop it. Lakini in Kiswahili, basi sasa. They're not stopping. And then I told him, I said, nimekwambia nini? Basi. And then the friend is asking him, what did your mommy say? And then he translates, mommy said we should stop now.
That's correct.
But they don't speak the language.
I know, which is so good because you can imagine sitting on a bus and your child is misbehaving. Everything you're gonna tell him or her, everyone will listen. Say what even you're gonna raising your voice.
Kabisa.
Yeah, then they will be listening everything. But if you go back to what country name like language, no mugamba gweno nja kukuba gwe. At least bali tebawulira omwana ategeera what you have ki.
Kabisa.
Ekyo era ebyo mbyenkareginga nnyo nti ne bwanga tufunye bamasheekh in Ugandan community at least batubuulireko mu Luganda lwaffe as we speak, then bayogereko ne ku Luzungu ku bantu bano abalala baba tebakoze eki tebategeera topic. Naye ng'Oluganda teri kutuba muntu gyagenda kusoma oba kubuulira kwonna kusinga muntu ng'abuulidde mu Luganda oba n'otusomesa mu Luganda mu kintu era nga naye bw'okyogeddeko bw'otyo. Empisa mweziri mu lulimi lwaffe Oluganda alhamdulillah osobola okukiipinga ekintu n'okibikkako ate nga mu Luzungu tosobola kukibikkako kubanga Oluzungu lwati lufu.
Do you know there's a very important research that was done on mums and language. So, and those mums are raising their children here in the West, in France, in Canada, in the UK, in America. And one of my teachers actually did the research. And the finding was, for example, the Chinese women said in America, they said in their language, there's no swearing. When they get angry in English, they swear because English gives you the angry swear words. But if they get angry and they maintain their language as Chinese, they don't, the swear words don't come.
So nga njagala okumaliriza sister to any point gye nabaddeko nti we have lost so many kids out here because of the parents. Sijagamba moms bambi, to be fair, ne ba daddies gye bali nga they just don't touch their kids. Bawoza police omwana wona omugambako ono naye nga we can discipline so many times. Nasomako on the college from 0 age to 19 age to be an assistant teacher. I just wanted to see how naye olaba nti you can discipline a child in so many ways.
Exactly.
Yes.
My brother, when we go to the idea of discipline, the meaning of it is not, it has nothing to do with the discipline the way we know it.
That's it.
In hitting. Discipline, even if you look in the dictionary, it's about training, guiding, and teaching. And Ali radiallahu anhu gave us 777. Raising a child from an Islamic perspective, he said, play with them for 7 years. Teach and discipline them for 7 years. And befriend them for 7 years. And then if you throw them anywhere, they'll survive. But when you go in that section of discipline from 7 years, and you look at the psychological developmental of the child, that's a time when children can understand, children can do things. They need a boundary and training, and it doesn't have to involve hitting, because pain doesn't allow you to learn. So we don't need to give them pain, but it's just, that's why I say that we need 4 things: being available, and being available physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So you start to understand how to be present. And there are so many things that can be difficult, but if you're busy, you're running around, now we have so many distractions. We have the phone, we have the TV, there are so many things going on. If your attention is so divided, the easiest way that you think is to discipline is to whack somebody so they can stop. But being a parent, it's a very, very, very difficult task because it requires you to be fully present.
Very true. So sister sagala kumala time weba natandise kwogera obudde buziba. I thank you so much. Kandike n'abalala bajje naye nga tusanyuse nnyo era we ask that yaba okomengawo tusomeseko ku kyolina twebaza ne bamoderator abasobodde otuleeta programu eno. Barakallahu fikum.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. We have Shakir.
Afwan, Bibi Rahmah.
Yeah.
Assalamu
Sister.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi
Wa alaikum salam. Who is speaking?
Musa Mkwaya. Yala kugamba nti Bibi Rahmah amanyi Oluganda sagala gamba fluently. Naye ganze mwembe tumye Oluganda.
Naye kakati nimepoteza practice.
Kati bwe tuba twogera naye nga omula nze mbeera naye twogera Luswayiri na Luganda. Mbadde mbasaba feel free yogera mu Luganda. Bibi Rahmah mukyala we waffe mu Uganda olwekyo inshallah era n'omwami yali Munnayuganda alhamdulillah fomu yamutwala n'abaana abakuziza boogera nga wabagala Oluswayiri n'olwekyo yogera mu Luganda inshallah wabula this is what she said to me nti bwe mba nsomesa mu formal this mba njagala mbeere formal oluusi bwe naayogera Oluganda nkalubirwa naki ayagala kyayogera of course bimbi ayogera eba on record kati yensonga lwaki aba more comfortable naayogera mu Luzungu n'olwekyo kinjagadde okubagamba ekyo inshallah bwe mba mubuuze mu Luganda ababadde bakingamba abakimpeereza message ningamba is fine programu eno inshallah you decide if you advise us nti tumukomyawo on condition nti aba ayina akadde tusobola okumuinforminga naye nga she's an educator in this community. She's part of our community. Atusomeseza emirundi mingi era Sheikh Kalantani ajja kuwa omwaka obujulizi n'abalala inshallah. Kyenjagadde okubagamba ekyo program y'eswala mu lusonyiwe specifically sobola okumuwa time atusomese n'ekyokubiri kambuza ebibuuzo n'olwekyo over to you. Assalamu alaikum.
Shukran. Alaikum salam. Shakir.
Shakir ugenda maaso nyama.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Barakallahu fikum. We thank you for your insight in raising our children.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Saba Allah kusima takongere knowledge.
Amen.
Nze chenjagala otutangezemu oba okutuwamu advice is how do you balance the raising of neurodivergent children? Because that's a big challenge.
What do you mean exactly?
Sister network
yange sinungi.
Sister Ida ndowooza eyiyo on my side bombi mbawulira bulungi.
What do I mean when I talk about neurodivergent now? The many things that are coming up or diagnoses that our children are getting today: autism, ADHD, and dyslexia, dyspraxia. How do we go about that? Because it also is in the community where the community is living in denial. Bwebakugamba kusomero nti omwana wo alina traces of ADHD, do you want to, instead of learning nti olabe nti how are we going to manage this, kati njagala otuweko insight kwekyo nti how do we balance that?
So I don't know what the question really is looking for, but what I know
it's looking for the advice, probably being an educator or birabye in the community or elsewhere, wherever you've seen it. So yeah. I want you to advise on, because it's challenging, it's really challenging. For example, if you have a child with ADHD, it's very challenging, and sometimes they come across, it's very, very difficult. I mean, challenging.
So it depends on how you are looking at it.
Yeah.
When we look at neurodivergence, we don't look at it as a negative thing.
Yeah, yes.
We look at it as it represents its own natural, differently abled variation in human brain.
Yeah.
So those children are able, but it's just different.
Yes.
That's one way. Another way, it depends. You know, now the challenge we have is that sometimes these diagnoses seem to be coming out too quickly.
Yeah, yes.
You know, they're very quick in coming out. Because, you know, the way we think about a human being and understand a human being contextually. Sometimes these descriptions that children give, and sometimes children are quite young.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a context at home. There's something going on. Maybe the mother has got some mental health herself, so she's not fully present.
Yeah.
Maybe there is some violence of some sort that is going on. Maybe there is a death of a grandparent. There are so many other things that can create a difficulty for children. So when you are going to get these diagnoses, sometimes it's very important to make sure that you communicate everything else that is happening. Sometimes parents have suffered from postnatal depression, which means any lack of availability in the first 2 years of a child, this can happen. Now, the other thing we need to do is, once we understand that sometimes it's just behavior, a diagnosis is just going to be something that puts your child in a space where you don't want them to be, because the world sometimes is not very kind. But once they've told you there's a diagnosis, and it's parents, what we need to do then is to engage with it, to educate. There's so many classes. We're here in the West. There's so many classes you can attend to allow yourself to understand. Now, if your child needs to be seen in CAMS, for example, you can actually have some sessions with your child in CAMS to help you understand them and how to work with them and things like that. So, but I think denial is the challenge, because I think from our Eastern perspectives, it starts to bring issues of shame. People will say your child is abnormal. Neurodivergency is nothing to do with abnormal. It's just a different normal. It's a different ability in how the brain works, if there's a diagnosis. But there's also sometimes when there's a lot of conversations out there. I'm not going to bore you with my political stance in my profession. In the profession of mental health, we have two camps. There is a camp that doesn't agree with diagnosis too much, not to focus very much on the diagnosis aspect, but to focus so much on the social, the environment, the social, what's going on in this child's life first, to put more emphasis on that. And then there's another one where it's just a diagnosis medication. So there's a medicalized model and there's a non-medicalized model in the mental health. And both sides are quite strong in and very focused in how they do things. But when you have a diagnosis, all you need to do is understand what it is that they've told you that your child has, and then find out, learn. If there's a class, if the psychologist who has done the diagnosis sometimes at school, you can ask for advice. So there's so many ways you can help your child, but you need to engage with it. I think the sense of feeling ashamed is something we need to cut out. It's just like anything else. If they told you your child is ill, this is something that is not right. It's not something to be ashamed of, something to keep a secret, or something to push back on. And then I think once you get a diagnosis, you can get a lot of help for your child at school. They give them extra time for exams, for example. Sometimes they give them somebody who works with them on one-on-one. So I think there's so many benefits for once you've had the diagnosis, but as parents, we need to engage with it. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yeah, I think you have touched on it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I think sometimes tunasikia aibu nini ndio kuswala.
Yeah, I think okuswala, it's a big thing in community.
Naeka kati tetwina kuswala because oba chize.
And also I think
kudil nacho.
I think or acceptance naye n'okunoonya ways of understanding the condition. Kubanga I think your challenge gye tulina, and that's where we end up comparing our children. Allah ayinza okuwa abaana ng'omu alina autism, ali autistic, ate ng'omulala alina ADHD. And sometimes they've grown up with this ADHD, so because it's just becoming the awareness now so much, naye ng'ovudde wansi ng'omwana omulaba ali very challenging to you, but you don't understand how. So if
one of the things I said earlier was what we call mentalization. If you can, we do that work in therapy in helping parents to mentalize. So if your child has got a diagnosis, all those things you can access. So the idea is acceptance means looking to understand and to engage with what is going on.
Barakallah fikum.
Wa fiki barak. Wa iyaki. Now,
next is Becca. Becca sewo gulawo akazindaalo. Becca Kingi nkuweereza akazindaalo. We probably stepped away. Musomesa Safina agenda maaso nga bwe tulinda Becca inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Nange musomesa.
Sometimes not all the time over free. Yeah, but anyway.
Jangu.
Bibi, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Shukuru kuona. That's the ETC of Maki Swahili. After many years of teaching Swahili students.
Okay.
There are very important things byokuteko, especially ku kids with special needs. Many times special needs spectrums biri. Waliwo abaana balina higher order skills, n'abalina lower order skills, n'abali in the middle. But many times tuba n'abaana bebawuza nti omwana ali ku spectrum, ali on the line. Naye nga tagicrossinze. It's a bit foggy. This is why in such a sense sometimes a kid alaga these symptoms naye nga it's just a behavioral issue. Mu Luganda omwana mpisa mbi bubi ne bazituumba obulwadde because abantu
Kankustopingeko kidogo Sister Safina. Si mpisa mbi. Bwe tugamba mpisa mbi tugamba nti omwana yabyeyigiriza, tugamba nti it's neglect, parental neglect.
Now, in Madam's jail, Nancy, I was coming to that.
No.
Obanyi as parents, to check Jacko. Nechuteka kubana because I've gone through education system for a long time. Naringa so high school only, and I never had a chance of dealing with the little ones. Kati to get them the pre-Ks. Kati abana baba bato. In fact, there's a time when I was in UK for some time, and that's when I got a chance of being with some children. Nga abaze fokchala, you know, but kuno abana bechi obera n'abantu abakuma abana bato. The first thing you ask, does your kid have a routine? And that's why it starts going wrong. Abazadde tuzaala abaana omwana n'abaana talina routine. Omwana n'abafuga. People forget nti brain y'omwana nga aba psychologists batugamba ebeera blank slate. Waiting for anything you feed it. Kati omwana wo wabanga ye yafuuka queen oba king awaka olugamba ne mudduka ne muyoola ne musitula, you know. Kati omwana atandika n'entitle nga mutunno muwere naye bw'atyo bw'atandika okufuga.
Awo nagambidde nti that's where love is misplaced.
Exactly. Jikira omwana we yasoose waliwo naliko balina kamati ke basaaviirako emmere naye omwana yavulajja n'akatuulako n'akafukako and yonna omwana afuse naye afuse webajjulira emmere and they think that's okay. Ne bayoolawo, you know. So omwana akula bw'atyo kati consequently behavior challenge eyo kati bw'atandika okukola empisa ze tuyita embi but we encourage them omwana nayasa something kati omugambako nga mugambe we n'omuwogolera n'akaaba nnyo nnyo oh baba sorry sweetie omwana alina okugamba sorry naye kati gweomuzadde gwokola ki gwongamba sorry omwana n'amanya kati skill nayo ngiyiina bwe nkaaba I get away with anything so kati bwaba batandika okukula bajja ku ssomero pre-care sharing time omwana awaka abadde so entitled everything kikye ekibeera mu fridge ajja n'ajjayo anything kyayagala they never ask they just keep on picking so ng'omwana omuyigiriza okusaba because omuyigiriza to ask and to thank those are two best skills omwana z'atanka nezawaka naye kati omwana amanya I just take muto agenda akakula kati agenda okujja ku ssomero nga be baana abakuba bannaabwe ne bakuba nali sikirabangako nti omwana wa kindergarten can be suspended nakiraba no US yali suspended ngamba what what are we to start
one of the challenges there, Sister Safina, that you're speaking about, you know, when a child kanga tewali boundaries tebamuyigiriza bulungi how to learn, because you know the children are just the job we have is to teach, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us on the fitra. That means we have the capacity to learn as long as you're prepared to teach.
That's another thing. There's something we call normalization. And normalization is that learning.
Yeah.
According to psychology, if someone does something repetitively for 21 days,
and it becomes
21 days every day,
becomes a habit.
Kati bwagamba nti nno buli wakola akantu you discipline sijja kozesa kali akagambo kali ke twagala nnyo kozesa nti bwakola ekintu discipline you withdraw privileges nomugamba time out omanyi wano abaana n'ekintu time out is a big thing ogamba 5 minutes time out let it be 5 minutes time out bwagenda just 1 second n'akulingizaako with their puffy eyes okay come back ng'ekyo kisse.
One of the things that we think about in my field is when you do the timeout, you should do the timeout in the same room where you are, not to send them out of the room. That has a psychological impact of rejection.
Okay, okay, withdraw whichever system you're considering. 5 minutes, be 5 minutes. But you told 1 minute. Effectiveness of what you can if you can give me 1 minute, you can even take it away. Throwing a tantrum. But okay, I want to just come back here. By the way, to a challenge. And you ask people why they're in education. Most of them are for the wrong reasons. But universities, education is one of the cheapest courses. This other whatever, that's going to be very expensive.
Yes.
So now ending up because it's cheaper. Not because they're teachers. Teaching is a calling. Natural. However, not so good your kid is, they should be able to love your child. But for the wrong reasons. They are so quick to diagnose our children. I'll tell Baba sign, I should have said Baba sign because I've also signed it. We become mandatory reporters. You know, kugamba our observations, no gamba counselor, kat counselor nachitwala to another whoever, kat before you know it, ngaba kuyita mnango mwana because of these parameters, bitu mugamba so nakola fujjo. Kid refuses to read, not because they can't read. N'agaana okusoma kati konsoma bamuteekako diagnosis ayinza okuba dyslexic talaba bulungi maybe tali fluent reading a below grade level nanga omwana ali mu fujjo kati consequently nga bagamba kakati tulina omuntu genda whoever specialist kati watuuka wa specialist abaana baffe baagala attention which comes back to us twaba katuli busy we don't give them that attention byonna bye bagamba I've seen these things happen. Kindergarten. I've seen this process. But we are going to doctor. I took a ring acting crazy. Allows showing off. When you are acting, yet a mind to no Muzungu, I'm no leader about taking. I'm not. Can't set off a minute. can't do this kati CHD tugamba kati mwana ali hyperactive ninga abikola bukozi kati bo kibakola tebalina budde nga bamuteeka ku ddagala kati eddagala eryo lina our brains are functional oba ngambe living being when you don't allow your brain to do its part. Brains are made up of neurons. But in neuron in kyekola. When a neuron becomes idle, it dies off.
Yeah.
If you're not using it, it dies off. Kati omwana nga becoming a medically dependent. Lwatamize ku ddagala era nino abaana nga bajja kuba kyakugambira Mr. Vera, I didn't take my medicine today. Ngomanya that's going to be a crazy day. Era by 9 a.m. omuzadde mwamu amukubidde dda ajja atwala omwana we. Kosi yamize eddagala. That's how it starts. Truthfully, some of them have genuinely been a problem. I tell that it runs in the family. These days, when I'm talking to kids, to jokingly, because there's a topic you treat natural selection and artificial selection. Little gamba in abantu abamu right now, because tuli bakulu tukaddiye, as I usually tell them, mamuli bato, you have a chance through Allah guides you. Stop choosing partners emotionally. Ask the hard questions. Before you even go for testing, or by sickle cell anemia in their blood. There are some disorders that run in their families. Some chances are high. It can skip a generation. But then it will get to the next generation. Kati consequently maybe it runs wamwe as a mom or ewa taata we waliyo jjajja oba kojja there's someone in the family, so chances are high bwe kiba ng'otuludde mu family yammwe yonna and the close relatives you know nga tekiriiyo, then maybe it could be a behavioral thing which doesn't need medication.
That's what
samutandisa ku myaka 3 myaka 4 ali ku ddagala, the brain will never function normally.
Yeah,
exactly. Becoming dependent.
Because the brain is developing and then you're starting to load it with stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. So mbadde njogera bingi kirala ekya shame. Shame kyensinza ogirabako era when your parents come to school, the men, I don't know about Islam tukirina nakyo, naye mu bali abali other faith bagamba nnyo nti omwana omubi the blame is on the mom. That one. Tulina omwami ye yagamba ffe ofe tutuzaala abaana bwe batyo, so that problem wa maama waabwe. In fact yalwawo nnyo n'okukiriza nti omwana alina a problem because ye omwana bambi ali really way gone on the other side. Kati blame ujjira kati maama ogenda kwanga ofa n'omwana wo ndino bamukolekedde, you're being blamed for whatever he's doing. I think that you have no control over it. Maybe in the beginning you could have done something. It's not going to go anywhere. The problem is yours. So ekyo kyo ne kibeerawo. So era nga bw'otuba oyogera ku stress management ojja kyogerako ekyo because waliwo abaana nga ye abeera off all the time. Kati bw'obanga olina partner who's not supportive, ogenda kwesanga ogenze mu depression, you know. You doubt yourself nazaalira ki, you know. Kale it goes against your faith. We need to be happy with whatever Allah has blessed us with. What I mean, I don't mind having a child like that. Ninga gomina atokola ki omwevuma. Said and done today. Njoga chibaita normalization. So omwana abaina a problem. How are we helping this child? Because omwana ontuno setting up for success. Otherwise, agenda kubeera your problem for the rest of your life. Agenda kubeera 40 years ng'okyabeera naye. Wano bw'ojja wano system weeziri, those kids babayamba n'akula ng'amanyi okubala ssente, amanyi okwenaaza, okwerongoosa, okulongoosa awaka. Kugamba it is not a life sentence.
No, I think what we think about is that their brain processes stuff differently, but it doesn't make them abnormal, or it doesn't make them less of a person. And it doesn't have to be that because the parents didn't train. Some children, it's just a condition that for some reason it happens. But it's true, there is a group of children who will have been raised and put on a pedestal, and they're not being parented, really. Parenting a child has to be.
The TV kids, TV and
so there's those
iPad
children
kids.
who have no boundaries, they don't know how to, but sometimes their moms, maybe they have some kind of mental health. And the other thing we know that creates a lot of problems for children at a very early stage is parental conflict. Parental conflict has an impact on the children's mental health well-being, because the mother's mental health well-being, as long as that is impacted, the children's mental health well-being gets impacted, because it's the mom who is at home and who is raising the children and who spends most of the time.
I don't know how when you're breastfeeding, going any stress and smile. What's that smile on?
Kakati science and neuroscience cause a lot of development. Kakati tumanyi nti what we call microneurons. So your child's brain can make contact with your brain past facial expression. So when you are under constant stress, your child picks the stress up, even if you're trying to be bubbly and happy and what have you. So that's why we're saying, if you're a mom, looking after your mental health well-being is very important.
It's key. It's number one. It's going to affect a lot of things. So just money, how we're going to deal with it. Let you know, okay, there's something philosophy in my life. The number I'm a lazy parent. Meaning being lazy parent, omwana namusitula mu lubuto. Kakati saagala ate muzaale, ate mbe nga musitula, ko aba agenda kummenya. So I do systems ezimusetting okuba independent. I will breastfeed, ate singa ngenda kuteekako maid amwetikke. Era bwe nabanga nabakozi amwantu omusitula. Alidde, ayonse, that's it. Muteeka wabbali. Just make sure you have eye contact, nti ali safe, and that's it. Neto mulera. Kuba agenda omulera n'amanyiira, alina kubeera mu ngalo, mumukolera everything. Abaana bayige nti nno bwe mba ndiridde awantu, I can clean up. Naye waba takliniza perfectly. Ayiga nti nno bwe ndya, I clean up. Kali gwe nojja kale n'oniteninga up. Neso siga nti ono alidde essowaani n'agireka eri, another person comes and picks. Ku ssomero tubayigiriza clean up, everybody clean up. Kyokka ng'awaka, everything kiri gye kikola gye kyagala. So it's so many things. Me, I'm happy, and I'm sorry, guys, if I took so long. With my experience of teaching and mom, these are things I've seen over many years. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Rahmah, mu chat tuyinayo ekibuuzo nkikusomere oba tokirabe kubanga I think bakisindise dda before omukono gwo guddako. Kigamba, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I really want to ask what is mental health before I ask my question. Sister Nava, Bint Adam Yabuza, what is mental health?
To our Gambia at the beginning, mental health is a state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being. And that emotional, psychological, and social well-being influences how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. That's mental health. And it involves managing stress, realizing our abilities, and maintaining relationships, and coping with daily challenges. It also helps us to regulate our emotion. Sometimes I think when I joined, the Sheikh was talking about how people can get angry and get out of control. So that is a lack of the skill of learning how to regulate your emotions. And the mother is the child's regulator. So if the mother doesn't know how to, if you have these moms who they go from 0 to 100, Children will be like that. So the mother is the regulating force for the children. That's what mental health is. It involves the cognitive, the emotional, as well as the social well-being. And it is something that we need to be taking care of and looking after. One of the things we're not very good at as a people, and it's just that Eastern cultures where we're not even that, we don't even think about it. But generally speaking, we tend to not really look after our mental health well-being because we can't see it. But if you do the work I do, mental health is real. If it starts to break, it is serious. I do some consultancy work in children's services, and one of the main reasons that children get removed is because mother's mental health is breaking down and she doesn't have the capacity to parent in a way that is helpful to the children. So we need to look after our mental health, and that's in a nutshell what mental health is. I don't know if I have answered the question. And then when we think about it from an Islamic perspective, mental health, Islam approaches it from a holistic.
Sister Rahmah.
Yeah.
I don't know, manyi okyogedde mu luzungu kati abamu waliwo ambuuza ano mu inbox yange okinnyonnyodde otya mu Luganda?
Hapo siwezi. Simanyi oba nsobola. Kakati emotion bakigamba batya?
Nange simanyi. Emotion kweraliikirira, right?
Ndowoozamu nti mental whatever yandibadde nga embeera z'obuntu eza bulijjo. Embeera z'obuntu eza bulijjo.
Naye nga kikwatagana ne how you feel.
N'omutwe.
Kikwatagana
n'omutwe.
Embeera, whatever you talk about, embeera is whatever happens affects your owulira otya n'onyiiga nnyo oba n'oba musanyufu nnyo.
It's body and mind.
Yeah, body and mind.
Sichimanyi, hata kwa Kiswahili I don't think I can explain it.
Sijui.
Naye omanyi abantu mental health, if you feel low, if you don't have motivation.
Could it be okoowa emirembe?
Toina motivation, ebintu biri awo nja kukikola. Toina motivation, you've lost the love for life and the zeal for life, and another symptom if your mental health is a bit
Okwekyawa.
Sleep a lot, sleep a lot. Sometimes people don't wash, you don't look nice, you don't smell nice, but some people who actually go down into depression, they don't brush their hair. There's so many things that follow, but that's not where we're thinking about. We're thinking about how to look after it. So you have to give yourself time. There's an idea of
self-care.
But self-care, not in a selfish, I don't care about anyone else. It is in a selfless and selfish, in the sense that I'm going to look after myself so that I can look after my family. It's that idea. I don't know. Can anybody else help us to translate some of the words?
Sister Safina musomesa.
So
in English, that's what it is. Nekati kino ekyo okwefaako ku mbeera ze eza bulijjo. Era kimaliza nti weeyagala naye si kweyagala nga bw'ogamba not selfishly, because waba beeyagala destructively, n'akwata omusaala gwe n'agenda mu club oba n'agenda ku shopping spree n'aba nga tasigazzaawo zigenda kuyamba bantu oba n'okola extreme okuba nga you guard your peace of mind. Ate nange nze mu luzungu.
I know.
It's difficult. Ndowooza akitegedde. Mugambe ndowooza akitegedde.
Even in Islam, we're encouraged to look after ourselves in order to care for our families. The verse in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum naran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about looking after ourselves. So it's not the selfish the self-care, but it's the self-care so that it can enable you to care and to be present. You know, raising children is very demanding on the mind, on the body. So you have to be fully present to give them what they need from you. So that's the idea, is how you look after yourself. And if you give yourself 5 minutes to just chill out, and we have to reduce this. There's so much scrolling that takes place. There's so many things that are eating into our time that we're just running, we're chasing our tail. There isn't baraka in our times, because the little time we have, we're scrolling, or we're doing, sometimes you can just chill, have a cup of tea.
Divide me time. How do we do our me time? Abana wo we basasa wa meka. Domani the zapping over abana over the stress of the kusomero homework biki kunaba kulia. But when they go to sleep, give yourself 30 minutes.
And
1 hour.
And we think about, so think about the idea of shouting. When you're shouting, what you're communicating to your children is that you have lost control. So you need to speak, and you need to call them. When I'm doing my workshops, I say, moms, to go upstairs to call your children for dinner. Don't stand at the bottom of the stair and shout their names, because you are training them not to shout. Again, in the Quran, in Surah Al-Luqman, as some of the advice he's giving his child, he's saying to, yani kukakanya, bera mukakamo. Is that the right word?
Yes, Shekat, it's the right word.
Yeah. Obera manakile ushoutinga bana tebaulira over shoutinga now shoutinga. There's so, but when you're shouting, always remember you have lost control. Therefore you've given your children control.
Nja kubasaba mubeere abamu kumwe ba moderators mubeere alert. Bibi Rahmah Ababa, you chose the common effort moderating seka de omwana abalala. You chose top keberin interactive. Please, one of you should respond. At least one of you should be there responding. We don't want to chip in because this twagala kintu kibe kyammwe kyabakyala. At least try to participate, inshallah. But to the best of your ability, inshallah. Mwabade ajate Ibrahim yabade achanyonyola mental health mu its perspective n'ababuuza naye yabade akyatwongerayo, maybe she was throwing more light n'okutuulira ng'Omusiraamu. What should you understand? How should you accept mental health mu community affair? Sometimes we accept it, sometimes we reject it, sometimes we perceive it in a way which eliminates completely nejamu element y'Obusiraamu, as if nti Obusiraamu temulimu mental health. Saka temukkiriza mental health. Sometimes ningamba ono ayogerera mu nsi ki kati nolwekyo
I think mental health, when we're thinking about mental illness now, the mental health well-being is what we've spoken about. So from an Islamic perspective, it's very holistic. That means you're looking after your health, you're doing a bit of exercise, and you don't have to be somebody who is going to the gym and because exercise, exercise and healthy eating is quite simple. You're thinking about your balanced diet, you have some vegetables, you have some carbohydrates, you have low sugars, those kinds of things are recommended. And then you can walk, regular walking, you can walk, you having regular checkups is very important. If you hygiene, all those things, that's an Islamic perspective of mental health well-being. And then we think about our thoughts. How are our thoughts? Are they negative? Are they positive? Are they realistic? Are they functional? All that is very much from an Islamic perspective. And then we are thinking about, are they helping us to complete our day-to-day goals and tasks? So that's the mental bit. We're thinking about our thoughts. And then the emotional health. Islam thinks of awareness in how we feel, both positive and negative, and the ability to regulate how we feel. So, for example, as a mother, when I think I'm really feeling cross with my child, if I'm in touch with the fact that I am feeling cross, I can remove myself from the conversation because that's how I'm feeling. But if I don't know that I'm feeling cross and I'm feeling stressed, I will then dump that. I'll start having a go at the child and being really nasty and rude and rough and shouting at them and telling them off and fighting with everyone. But if you know you are in touch with how you are feeling, you can. You know, when you raise children here, the upbringing involves a lot of conversations, a lot of talking. So I remember whenever I thought I am now really not happy, I would say, let's not talk about it. And you know, when the children are in their teens, they follow you. Mama, mama, let's solve this. Let's talk about it now. I say no, because the way I'm feeling just now, the talking is not going to be useful. We'll talk later. So that means you're in touch. You know how you are feeling, you know, and that could be in the spousal relationship as well. You know, you're feeling a bit under the weather, you're stressed, you are worried, and you just want to snap. You need to know that I have the urge to snap. That's where the Prophet ﷺ taught us about don't be angry. The idea is that it's not forbidden to be angry, but it's what do you do with it when you feel it? And how will you know you are, except that you have the awareness? So that's another idea when we're thinking about, from an Islamic perspective, when we're thinking about mental health. And then there's the social behavior health that involves our relationships, our interactions with others. Are they healthy? Are they functional? And how do we accept and enjoy happiness, for example? And how do we recognize and resolve conflict? I don't think most in our families, sometimes we have cultures that we have developed where we don't solve conflict. And so we allow things to grow one on top of another. And then things start to spill out. So that is, again, a very Islamic approach because it's very holistic. We are thinking about each item. Spiritual health is where we are thinking about now our relationship with Allah. How is my connection? How am I connected? How am I, do I engage in some kind of dhikr? Do I think about what Allah wants me to do and what Allah doesn't want me to do? Am I doing my best, to the best of my ability, to work within? Because we are going to slip. We are not perfect, but is the effort and the intention there? Yani tunayo bidii. Sijui kwa Kiganda ndio nini bidii. Lakini bidii ile manake, are you putting the efforts in? Do you have the intention? Is your mind on it? That's you're thinking.
Bunyiikira, oteekamu obunyiikirivu.
Thank you. Kunyikira. Manake, you do your best as a human being, but you are going to fall short. Some things you will not fulfill. But at least the bare minimum is what is required, like your 5 prayers. Do you make time for it? So then you have to also nurture and look after your relationship with Allah. That's very important for your mental health. You know, if you think about the du'as, the morning and evening du'as, and if you engage with what you're speaking to Allah about, that looks after and takes care of your mental health. You wake up, you claim you do a disclaimer. You thank Allah for waking up. You rely on Allah. When you leave the house, you make your dua. So there is that mental health well-being that is nurtured. Now, if you do the work I do, when I work with Muslims who have gone through bereavement, and when I work with somebody who doesn't believe and they've gone through bereavement, you can see the challenge and the difference in the two. You know, so then the next thing is, now we want to think about all those things that I've said: the physical health, the mental health, the emotional health, the social behavior health, and the spiritual health. And is there a balance? Do you know when there is a little bit of a disbalance? You're thinking, 2 days now, I haven't done my morning and evening du'as. I'm starting to get out of sync a little bit. And you know, you don't have to. I had a sheikh here in one of the Kiganda talks. I don't know the name, but in the clips that are shared on the WhatsApp, he said abantu bangi balowooza nti okukola dhikiri ya fajiri ne evening nti olina kutuula osome dua nyingi. Amesema ogamba edua inatosha if you say after Asr, for example. He said it's enough to say he said أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من كل شر ما خلق. 3 times you finish your salam, you do that dua, you do astaghfirullah, you do salam, the salam of the Prophet. He said that's enough for your evening du'as. I think he made it so easy. There are so many clips. The sheikhs are coming now on TikTok showing how easy it is. You don't have to, if you don't have time, you don't have to do all the recommended, but you can pick 2, 3, and depends. The day that you are very busy, you do less. The day you have time, you do more. And that's how you find that what we call an equilibrium. It's a balance. You need to develop a balance, and that's how you look after your mental health. That's from an Islamic perspective. Now, it doesn't mean Islam does not recognize or acknowledge mental illness. What we are talking about is mental health well-being. But mental illness exists. When I was doing my master's, they showed us how different historically how mental health was treated. Do you know the outstanding treatment of mental ill people? We saw a video of Algerian mental health unit in those so many years, because they obviously, the Ottoman Empire, Islam, they showed that they look after them, they have a shower, they sit outside, they pray, they do adhkar, and they said here they were still in the lock them away. The approach that we look at and examples in learning when you're doing when you're learning this mental health, one of the examples you see
Rahmah
is an Islamic.
Rahmah.
Now,
Sister Boss Lady over there and someone else, they wanted the same thing you're talking about. They wanted to interrupt you with a quick question. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. How could somebody who is in a relationship where a spouse is a narcissist or so controlling handle that? You know, we are career oriented and some of us are very aggressive. Being pushed around is not fair to us, you know, giving a chance because you're also contributing to the family. So how can we handle those kind of spouses? Thank you.
So narcissism, I think we can think about as narcissistic characteristics, because narcissism is a proper diagnosable mental health, and it's a mental illness. But I think now it's a bit of a trend in our language use, that when people are controlling and when people appear selfish, and then we're saying he's a narcissist. So it's very important for us not to label, because when you call him that and it's an illness, he's not to blame. But what you want to say is those narcissistic characteristics need to change. And so I don't know what your question really is asking. Are you saying, what do we need to do? What do you need to do? If you're in a couple relationship, the first thing is communication. Is having space to talk about the challenges that you're having in your relationship. And if you can't do it, the two of you, because it always ends up in an argument, that's where we come in as couple therapists. So you have to either go for the professional help, or you have to go for, let's have a conversation. You know, that behavior makes me feel. So how you have the conversation is very important. You can't be accusative. You don't tell them you do this and you do this, but you say, you know, when you do this, that makes me feel this, that, and the other. So it depends on how good your relationship is. It depends on your communication style and how you are doing relationship. And if you can involve somebody in a family who can help to mediate while you're talking to one another, there's ways of addressing those things, but it has to be, what is your style? Is how things, do you just shout at each other? Do you have time to talk? Do you have a time when you have a good time and you sit down and everything is calm? And can you highlight those kinds of ideas instead of thinking, one of the other things I think that we as sisters, as women, especially living in the world today, and especially where we live, there's so much feminist ideas that are really injecting itself in our ways of thinking and behaving. So we also have to think, I'm a Muslim woman, how am I behaving and how am I responding? Yes, I don't accept to be treated like that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I will not oppress you, don't oppress one another. But how do you approach it? How do you sit down and say, let's discuss this? I think we have a problem. Remember, one of the things I said in the mental health well-being is the capacity to recognize and resolve conflict. That's one of the things that we need to be thinking about and doing. So it's not that there is this is the problem, this is the answer. It doesn't work like that. It's very contextual. How you do the relationship, how you get time. Do you actually talk together about it, or does it always end up in arguing? There's different ways that people can do that, through therapy, through getting a third party. There are so many other ways of doing it. But we also have to think about us and how we are. One of the things I come across a lot with my Muslim couples that I work with is there's an idea of people experiencing a lot of disrespect from both sides. Women feel disrespected, men feel disrespected, because we are taking on attitudes and ideas that contradict our beliefs and also our cultural ways of being, I think. And Allah knows best. I don't know if I've answered your question. I think you've disappeared. Did I answer the question?
Sister Boss Lady, did they answer your question?
Or did I give the right kind of a helpful guideline of what to do?
Yes, you did. That the couple needs to talk. They need to talk to each other. They need to find, and if they can't, they should find a counselor so that they can be able to solve that problem.
And alhamdulillah, the Muslim community now, a lot of people are starting to use therapy as a means to resolve issues. And especially if you have children, it's very important to resolve issues as we go. Because remember, parental conflict impacts the children's mental health well-being.
But you have to remember, most of our men don't want to go for therapy. They think like it's a weakness, but some men are so controlling that a woman doesn't have a voice in the house, in a home.
That becomes a challenge. But you know what I always think about is, because you see the beauty about, and I know it sounds like I don't get it, but I do. The beauty of Islam and being Muslims is that there's this idea of a wali. The Prophet ﷺ said there's no nikah. You can't be married if you don't have a wali. That wali has a purpose. It's not just that they marry you off and their job is done. They will have your best interest at heart. So what you need to do is, if your husband is very controlling, like you're saying, or they won't speak or something like that, is you have to take them to someone. You go to the person who married you. If you have a dad, if you have a brother, you take them to have a conversation, because I can't have a conversation with you here. We need to have this conversation with people who care about us and people who love us. I think it's important not to leave it and just say, he doesn't listen, because he's not above. Yani, you have to find ways, and always we have to remember, with kindness and justice. But we can't we can't just accept that, well, he won't do it, and so what? So then what happens? Are you then just going to remain like that? And then what happens to the kids? So we have to be more proactive. If you're saying, okay, we need to talk about this, and if he's not letting you talk, then you say, let's go and talk to someone, or you go and speak to your male relative, and then they have to speak to him. I think we always have to be people who are looking to resolve and create sulh, because we're being together as husband and wife is an act of worship. It's ibadah. So we can't just let him just to be somebody who is over everyone and all of us just, if you can't do it alone, you have to involve your wali, your male relatives, whoever is available.
Amen.
Inshallah.
Barakallahu fikum, Shekat. Thank you for that. Nainga, in my own thinking, I'm probably like learning through as I'm growing. I've come to learn like bandasis have like this, they have like toxic traits. They are mind triggers. Like Basogama, yes, we're going to go. They go, you guys have sessions and all that. Within a week, never die. Or they can bring up something. You have issues you want to bring up on the table. They probably can go with the flow, never kiriza, but they are mind tricking you sometimes. Like that's a mind of a narcissist. You just have to be careful and watch out for yourself. Like, yeah, that's what I would do. But barakallahu fikum.
Think about your language. The other thing I'm going to say here, using language like toxic, narcissist, it doesn't help you in how to deal with the person. You know, I did a training on how the language influences your mind, how the words you use influence your mind. The minute you've given somebody those names, your starting point is already negative. But if you use less difficult label words, you are going to start from a soft place, and that might induce softness in them.
Shekat, we start soft. We start soft again, and it's going.
Anti kakati in your mind into your narcissist or your toxic or ezo labels zijeo. Dealing n'omuntu nga mwami wo bamukyala wo na baba watoto mama watoto. You have to find different ways of thinking in order for you to be able to effectively resolve. And it doesn't, sometimes sometimes we contribute. So he calls you gwe ekisiru, alafu unakubali uchikiriza, alafu it starts to be okay. Lakini it can be, say, darling, that's not the right way of addressing me, and especially in front of the children.
But that's Shekat Olaba, that one. Kat, why would you call me gwechitwe, gwechisiru? What would you bring up that? If you really love your wife, and Quran to Gamba, you have to treat your spouse, with respect.
Even name calling is not allowed. It's not, like in sister, your job is to remind them. Remind them. If you want to stay in the relationship, you have to work on it, and you
have to remind.
If you want to stay, because if you stay and then say, you're not going to go anywhere, but your mental health will start to deteriorate. You'll start to feel unloved and wanted, and then you feel in another problem where you start talking about it to friends, and so you have to be in that space where, if we're going to do this, we have to solve it. We have to find ways of resolve. Yani, you can't be a giver-upper. You don't. And you don't
also shake it.
I've done it so many times. I've had it. I have worked with people. I've worked with people who have been in a very, very dark place. And it's so possible that they can come out. But you need to hold the hope. You work on it, you make dua. If you want to stay in the relationship, you definitely have to work on it. You can't stay and do nothing, because that means you'll be harming yourself and you'll be harming your children.
Yes, we do try as ladies, train our patience. I think it's like percentage of things it's higher than men when it comes to women because we have soft hearts. I think we love hard. And I'm thinking, ne spouse was look at you, look at their background. Probably it may be from their family.
Kabisa.
No let's go talk to your dad's side or your brother's side. They're going to be in supportive with his argument. Katugo no way down. Yes.
Islamically, you, a woman, you have an issue not to his family, your wali, your male relative, not theirs, because that's how it works. That's how it works. Your wali. If your father is no longer here, you have a grandpa, you have a brother, your male relative.
Okay, barakallah.
Not theirs. No.
All right.
But nice. Simani, how much more time Bibi Rahmah still has, but we have hands up.
Exactly.
4 hands.
Exactly. We have like 4 hands. Naye, I've been keeping track. Omubambi agenze Allahu Akbar. Becca, yes, so said then Sister Joeria Bukenya.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa
My
rahmatullahi
name
wa
is
barakatuh.
Joelia Bukenya. Nsinzira wano, I live in Chicago in the US. Ekintu kyembadde njagala okwogerako, okay, I'm a registered nurse and I did psychiatry. But I work with mental health, kind of certified. Ekintu kyembadde njagala, what I wanted to talk about is mostly it's like a cultural thing. When you are dealing with mental health, you have to learn people's background. Now wenyini background yo. Kakati ngaffe, I come from I'm a Muganda. The Baganda men don't want to, they think you just have to stay there and listen to everything they have to say.
Yes, and I'm going to come in, Sister Joeria. Muganda, being a Muganda, is just, if you're thinking about culture, I did all my work is invested in culture, even my research. If we are thinking about the man as a Muganda, that's one aspect of him. He's a Muslim. That's another aspect. So we can't fixate on one.
And it's like Islam versus culture. So it gets like shocked in between there.
Sasa, then if you want to see, do you hear my word? My word is conditional. If you want to remain in that relationship, you have to challenge from different angles. Okay, kabila yetu ya Kiganda, even in my culture, mwanaume, the woman, you can't tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Let's think about Islam. What does Islam tell you in how to treat me? You see, we have options.
Yeah, and you remember the walis, whatever you said, they go in between. Most of the times they are your tribe people, they are his tribe people. They will just sit you in the corner and say, oh, omwami nawe omumanyi, got you tojja gamba about katinga. The problem with us now, now the problem we have here, we traveled. We came from all the way from Uganda and we live in the United States. I've been in the United States for over 20 years.
Yes.
So kati ogenda okulaba range, I mean, there are so many differences between ng'okyalika. Sometimes abaami tujja nabo. Kati ogenda, when you reach here, you're like, you know what? I think this is abuse. This is narcissism. You start differentiating things. Kati bw'ogezaako okubeera nga naawe amugambako oba nti no, when you try to, to say that, oh no, this is not how it should be. I think back home, though it's culture, I think it's some kind of spousal abuse or something. Kati awo then there is some kind of a crash So I just wanted to lighten on that. Sorry about
Jazakallah khairan. Yeah, you're right. So when your own family is not going to take that Islamic stance of saying then it becomes quite a challenge. But I think we as long as you want to be in the relationship, I think we need to find ways. That's all I'm saying. Because if you remain and do nothing, you are going to allow you and your children to deteriorate mentally. So it's not in your best interest or your children's best interest. So you have to find ways of tackling it, addressing it. And because the men are also here, they are exposed to different things. I don't know, you can get a little book and put it somewhere there that talks about mental health. I don't know, but I think doing nothing is not an option.
I agree with you. And we have another hand. Becca, Brother
Yes.
Becca Chiyinji.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, our brother.
Rabbi shrih li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you so much, Sister and Sheikhat Mariam, for your insight. Now, my question, I'll put this a little bit. It will be a mchuzi mix. I hope you understand when I say by that.
Are you going to say Kiganda and Kizungu?
And
I will bring
Swahili?
some element of Kiganda, Swahili, and Kizungu somewhere, somehow. Anyway, I want to be brief. I would like to be brief.
Yeah.
And my concern, and this will go both to we the parents and to our children.
Okay.
On the aspect of the preferred approach of communicating. For instance, some of us grew up when they are yelling at us. Madrasa nilikuwa Mombasa napigwa na kikoto.
Kabisa.
But right now you can't do that.
No.
Which means there is in English we say we need to talk to or to talk with.
Talk with.
Now, my question goes to you, which is the preferred way to talk to our children or we talk with our children?
I think both. Depends. Ebu fungua kidogo. What do you mean by talking to and talking with? What is your meaning?
My meaning is,
give us an example.
When I was manake nilikomaa kama naamrishwa kwa kila kitu naamrishwa.
Aiwa, that is talking to.
Lakini watoto wangu wa kisasa kuwaamrisha na kuwa kazi nzito sana.
Lisa.
Why? Because there are a lot of rights.
Kabisa.
And now we as parents, sorry, my sister, my other people in Luganda, chengezako gamba. Abata awotegere beba njogera mu Luswahili. Kyembadengezako gamba nti abalala bwe twakula baali nga batulagira bulagirizi kino bazadde baffe baali nga bakambwe naye twaliwo era tukuze abasinga tukulidde mu discipline eno tukigezaako okwagala okugizza mu baana baffe naye abaana baffe ate ne kibanga rights zizeewo nnyo balina rights. In fact, natuukako omuntu omu n'aŋŋamba yali ku ssomero n'aŋŋamba actually a child has no rights in a sense. A child has no rights. It's in a sense, not that it doesn't have indeed. Nekiteekaawo. Kakati, what I'm trying to ask is if you could insight from me which is the best way that we can approach. Naffe ne tusanga ffe ng'abazadde oluusi kuba mpulidde awo mu comments abakyala boogedde nnyo about us the men tetuwulika batuyisa amannya naye ekyo ndowooza tunawa topic ya lulala ne concern yange ebadde nnyo ku baana kuba challenge gye tulina according to me the challenge that I'm seeing and I gave it 4Ds that most of us parents face with our children. The 4Ds, that is, our children are so deceitful, disrespectful, disorganized, and disobedient. Now, if they are that, what is the best approach of communicating to them? That's why I was posing that question, so that we face that.
Yeah. And so my response to that would be, it's a very interesting question, and it depends on what stage the children are at. But if we think a little bit about what I touched on earlier, the upbringing, if we really engage with an Islamic approach, Ali radiallahu anhu spoke about 7, 7, and 7. So one of the things that we sometimes lose in the process of parenting is when the kids are when they're still small, we don't engage. In my work, there's something I do that we call attunement. And I do that work mainly for court when the judge requests for that work, and I do it with the family, and then the idea is they're looking to see whether the parent is attuned. Do you understand your child's emotion? Do you is there that idea of you're able to engage with your child at that age, especially when they're nonverbal? What we do is we think this is a time when we don't need too much involvement, but that's the investment time. If you get on the floor at that point with them and you start to impart your valuable values, you teach your values through practice. You have to do your behaviors. You don't parent by talking and telling them, do this, don't do that. But you are there, you are giving them love, and you are also giving them correction and guidance, and you develop routine is very important. And then you develop the idea of boundaries. And as they start to become 7 onwards, mentally they have a different capacity. Now you're starting to really do your discipline, you're teaching, you're busy. Even Islam tells us at age 7, we're teaching them, we're starting to train them how to do salah. So you see, that's a very, very important milestone in a child's life. So we are teaching, but we're involved, we're talking with them, we're talking to them, we're giving instruction, we're there. When they hit the next 7 years, you can't pick them up and sit them somewhere. You can't tell them, but you're going to use your relationship as the vehicle. So if you've ignored and neglected when they're young to develop that, now you're at the place where they actually don't know you. And maybe you don't know them enough. And so there's all these expectations. When you were young, you did these things, and you're expecting your children to be like you when you were growing up. It's impossible. Ali radiallahu anhu also said, don't raise your children the way you were raised, because it's a different time, it's a different environment, everything is different. So things change. We need to be moving on with that. So I don't know the ages, but I think that's the thing. You remember in the beginning, I said we need 4 things: availability, mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. We need to be engaged. When your child tells you, when your child is becoming upset about something, you need to know. We start to do what we call mentalization. You start to step out of yourself and step into their mind and thinking, what are they feeling? How is that going? It's all possible. You can raise your children in this environment as long as you completely are teaching by example. If you're speaking to them, you're speaking to them in a tone that you want them to speak back to you. That's how things happen. Now, when they become older, and Islam, developing your child's spirituality is very important. Not just teaching them a parrot of reading, but teaching them some of the values, how to speak, or and how you speak with them, but you're also encouraging them to think about helping them to develop a relationship with Allah, because that's the relationship that is also going to contribute to your relationship with them. They will understand who you are in their lives according to that. So I think there's a lot of work that is involved in raising children. And yes, we raise our children here. They have so many rights. And the challenge with the world, the time we're living in now, we're all rights oriented. Islam is not rights oriented, although we have all those rights that we know. A child has a right in Islam, a woman has a right, a man has a right, everyone has a right, but we are not rights oriented. We're responsibility oriented. That if I fulfill my responsibility to my children, that gives them their rights. When I fulfill my responsibility to my husband, that delivers his rights. When he fulfills his responsibility to me, that delivers my right. We need to think responsibility driven and focused as opposed to rights driven, I think. But yes, I agree, raising children here is very difficult. And I think the only way that you can really make any progress is really embracing an Islamic way of being in the home. That means yourself, your husband, the boundaries that you put in place. But remember, the boundaries you put in place and can't be rigid boundaries. So when your children are becoming 10, you can't treat them like you did when they were 6. When they become 13, you don't treat them like how you treated them when they're 4. Your boundaries always have to shift, and then you start to do this idea of conversations, and you help your children. We don't teach, the system doesn't teach children to think and to reflect, and all those things we need to do ourselves. And I'm not saying it because I read it from a book. I've raised my children here. And all the things that we hear people talk about that are difficult, yes, and there's no way I'm going to say it is not difficult. But what I'm saying is if we take an approach of being available and interested, and I tell people, it is so hard if you raise your children with that focus. But if you are not doing it for any reason, do it for yourself. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us, when we die, everything stops. But one of the continuous action that we leave behind is a righteous child. Do it for that reason. If you can't do it for any other reason.
Amen.
So it's that idea of, is your own intention, what you want out of it, and you are in worship. When you're parenting, you're in worship. So Jannah is not cheap. If you're going to raise a child to be on the path, you have to work. I used to talk in my sleep as a parent. And when, and I'll give you an example. I have my son had become, I think, 18. Allah yarham, he's now passed away. And he said to me, Mama, I want to open
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Alhamdulillah,
So sorry to hear that. Wallahi, so sorry.
But he said, Mama, I want a Facebook. And then I said, okay. So when we have a Facebook page,
your hands.
We're having a conversation. What do you want to do with it? He said, so I can connect with my friends and I said to him, okay, that's not a bad idea. But I said to him, you will be able to control what you post. But the people you're connecting with, how will you manage? So, for example, I told my children to lower their gaze, the boys. So I said, so if your friend is on a beach with his girlfriend and they're in your contacts, how are you going to manage and avoid that? So we just had a long conversation. At the end of that conversation in the morning, he told me, he said, Mama, after our conversation yesterday, I've decided I don't want one. Until he died, he didn't have a Facebook page, but he wanted one. So it's that idea of how do we sit down and reason. We just say no. Why, Mama? Why? Because it is haram. It doesn't sell it. So it's how do you sit down and take time out, say, okay, and be interested, and then help them to think about the repercussions of what they're saying they want to do. I don't think we have that much time.
I don't think so. One more last hand, 123. He has been on the hold for at least 10 minutes.
Bismillah.
iPhone.
Mashallah. Thank you.
iPhone. 1, 2, 3.
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Barakallahu feekum. My name is Sheila Payne. I'm from the US, Boston, Massachusetts. I really enjoyed this topic. I want to be a little bit brief. Now, for me, I think to come to solve some of these problems, even before we go into problems, there are some mental illnesses or mental health that we ignite. And there are those ones that are uncontrollable. But the key to all of this, number one, is communication. You're going to have to learn how to communicate and when to communicate. You're not going to tell me that somebody has died and then through mulumbe no tandika no. You're going to have to learn how to communicate and when to begin the conversation. Number two, we're going to have to break the ties. Ogamba kakati tenafumbirwa mchika bonna bakambwe bwena mugamba ko oli nani kati you start with your children nga sister bwatugambye omwana wo mubuulire these children of ours oyinza omugamba ebintu n'olaba nga atabitutte but they really ebintu ebyo babitwala. Sister said about the 7 use the 7 rules ezo z'owulira omwana mutandike wano from 1 year. First of all, we're going to have to go back to our roots. Omanyenti Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam yatusomesa. Nagamba first of all, you have to okufuna omukyalo oyo oba omwami oyo. How did you get them? Wabafunira mu disco, wabajja mu darasa, wamujjawa. Kitagerekeka. Am I still on? Number 2.
Yes, you are right.
Olina okumanya nti wemba ngenda okwegatta n'omwami wange there's a certain dua gye nsoma shaitani netayingirawo. One of those duas protecting okuzaala omwana alina mental illnesses. We have to go back to our roots first of all. Tulabe obusiraamu bugamba ki. Kati bwe tuddayo ngenda kudda eno neeno kanyama kasaavu. Kati bwe tuddayo ku the 7 omwana from 1 year to 7 years alina okuzannyako alina okola ki beba n'abasajja bw'aba teyazannya mu buto n'omusanga ng'agenze mu kyuma n'avaayo n'agwa kubanga ayagala kuzannya ng'akuze eri emyaka gy'amuyitako egy'obuto egy'okuzannya. So you have to go into the 70s. Brother agambye when do we talk to and when do we talk with? Kati wano from the 1 to 7 you talk to no bagamba kino kibeera bwe kiti kino kibeera bwe no baba bazannya. 7 to 14 you talk to kubanga wagenda kuyingira mu real world no mugamba abantu bakola bwe bati abantu people listen kamba wayo one example. My son abana tubakuliza wano nange badde mu America for like 25 years naye omwana omugamba nze omwana wange namugamba tobeeranga ge kubanga Allah yakolimira abantu bagge newe babeera n'ensi nagifuula upside down. Now, n'ennyanja eriwo it's a dead sea. That's how bad it is. Omwana oyo ekintu kyamuyingira mu bwongo. Kati obimubuulira, talk to them. Ne bw'oba muvuga motoka, I remember I talked this conversation twice tuvuga motoka nga tugenda ku muzikiti. Omwana ono bwe twatuuka sometime namugamba siwulirayo bw'oyogera nti ngenda kukwasa biki simanyi oli gay just mbuuza bubuuza nagamba no mama I'm never gonna be gay. You remember you told me when I was 10 years that katonda yakolimira abage ebintu byaliwo nga like 8 years back naye omwana kikyamuli mu bwongo. This is when you talk to them. No, this is yali 14 ndoza. This is what when you talk with. Wakati oyogera n'omuntu from 15 nekweyongerayo oyogera n'omuntu gomanyi agenda oku implementinga ky'omugamba, and that's real life. From 1 to 7 bazanye. From 7 to 14 yomubuulira ebintu bwe bibeera. Now talk with oyogera na mukulu munno ng'okimanyi nti agenda kutandika okubeera n'abakyala. Oba kitegeera. So and njogera eno neri nabagambye time ntono. I think we still need time okujja mu bintu bino to be addressing. Number 2, you have to be an example. Togenda gamba mwana wo nti tonywa mwenge nga gw'osiba onywa mwenge. Oba kitegeera. You have to live an example. Omwana tomugamba nti no kyogera yambala hijabu nga gwe oyambala mini. Oba kitegeera. You have to express what you are. Ate number 3, we have to include in a lot of patience. Abasajja bano tugenda bayita banasisti tubayite biki. But how do you talk to your man? Tukimanyi fenna. We didn't grow up in the same house. Ate abaami bakula nga beebo. Like, don't label them, talk to them, and learn how to be patient with them. Bwe kiba kiganye, break the tie. Omanye nti ono omwana wo omubuulire abantu bye bakola. Bwe nali nkyali mu nursing school, batusomesa ekintu kye nalaba nga kituufu. Batusomesa ne batugamba omukazi yali muzungu. N'agamba, the problem with you Africans, mudira omuntu omulwadde n'ababuulira ebintu eby'ekiralu, era twali mu mental illness class, n'ababuulira ebintu eby'ekiralu, kati mwe abalamu ne mugoberera omulalu. N'atuwa example, n'agamba omuntu ayinza okuba ng'alina mental illness. N'akugamba nti mu nnyanja waliwo eddagala eriwonya abantu. Namugamba tutwalewo. N'agenda mu nnyanja, n'ajjayo obuyinja, n'abubawa. And you abalina amagezi ne mubelievinga nti ono omulalu. Emizimu gimukutte n'amwogerera ku kwegamba ekintu ekyo nalaba nga kituufu ne ngamba kati bano abazungu baategeera omuntu ayinza balibaga lubaala amukutte n'ayogera kino alina mental illness, but you believe nti oli kyabagamba kyekituufu. So we have to break the tie. Number 1. Number 2, communication. Number 3, ada bwaba kuwadde omwana ono ng'omwana aliko obulemu, omwana mutendeke okuva mu day 1. Abantu abo bw'omulaba balina mental illness, ky'omuyigiriza akikwata mu bwongo, obwongo bw'atalina but akikwata. N'amanya wano tebakolawo susu, wano tebafukaawo, wano tebakolawo bati. Hata n'embwa nekola susu mu nyumba n'ogikuba oba kapa eyiga. So n'omwana ono alina mental illness. Muyigirize gwe kyolabanga ekitasobota, tomubembeja n'omusitula mwana wange anti omwana wange. No, mu training ekintu kyogenda okumutraininga agenda kukikwata. Sebo nyawo hajati neyanziza nnyo. I would have said much kubanga nze this is what I do on a daily basis. Ndi mu nkola ku bantu abalina obulemu amwe nurse, but ebintu bingi nnyo bye tulina okweyigiriza. The first thing is like go back to your Islam. Omanye nti bwe mba ngenda n'okwebaka n'omusajja I recite this dua. Omanye nti bwe mba nyingira mu tooyi sigenda kuyingira nga sisomye dua ejjiini linyingira ate ngende n'omwami wange tuzaale omwana alimu obulemu. Let's go back to our roots first. Omanye how do I upbring my children according to Islam. Kubanga obusiraamu tebulina kintu kye bwalekayo. Ate omanye nti ekyo ekibadde kize kiki. Kwagamba mental illness eno y'amaanyi. N'abakyala ffennyini twalaba nti tukiteeka ku baami, naffe tulina illness ezizaffe. Olina OCD, oli OCD. Obuliri bw'obwaze kana kasondo oyagala kabeere bwe kati musajja avudde ku mulimu akooye agize. Lwaki olitukaza obuliri bwange? That's an OCD. Ebikopo oyagala bitunule certain way. That's OCD. That's another mental illness. Bannange. Si basajja bokka naffe abakyala. Oli n'agolola akagoyeko n'omusajja tayagala bakakwatika kugamba bintu bingi nnyo. This thing involves a lot of things. Naye tubeere patient tugende step by step. Except ndoza tujja kufunayo olunaku ebintu bino tubicategorizing tugambe.
Inshallah. Yeah, and just to add, is this still Sister Joeria?
No, that is Sister Painkiller.
Okay, so I think one of the things to add on to that idea of when we're talking about patience doesn't mean do nothing.
Exactly.
That is not sabr. Sabr involves work. So you are being patient, but you are trying to unpack and resolve the issue. It doesn't mean sit there if you're getting a kick every day, just take it and be patient. You want to remain in the relationship, we have to fix this. And I think the other thing is we have to remove, we have to uproot. We've already uprooted. We're living here. We're raising our children here. We can't then want, when it suits us, to be partially mimi Mganda, mimi Mswahili. Alafu when it comes to other things, mimi Mu-American, mimi ni British. We have to take a space where our cultures are pick the beautiful things in our cultures, pass those on, change the things that don't serve us, even if they're cultural, because we are raising a new generation. Our children are dual culture. At home, they're, mashallah, a good Muslim child. In school, they're British or they're American. And when they're there, they spend 40 hours. They're learning how to be. So we can't be nurturing our ways of being, because that's what we always did in Mombasa or in Uganda or wherever. And now we are living in London or in America somewhere. We have to understand what is the environment, what does it have to offer, and what are we able to offer our children to nurture them. Because bottom line, we're raising an Amatullah or an Abdullah. That's bottom line, I think.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister.
Sister Umu.
Umu Shakil, yeah. Barakallah fikum, our sister Rahmah. Was it sister? Yeah. Everything you say, and you talk from a place of understanding and knowledge. What I want to address leaving this Zoom today is, I think some people who have come to chip in have mixed two things: mental health and mental disability.
Yes, mental divergent.
Yes.
Those are two different things here.
Yeah, some people have mixed this. And mental divergent is a place close to my heart. Working with children with mental disability or mental needs is different from living with a child with mental disability. Like Sister Bibi said, they think differently. So you need to learn. They actually need to teach you how to raise them.
Now.
Because you, in your mind, you're a straight thinker, okay? Things we take to be normal are not normal to them. I'll give you a simple example of something. A label on a shirt. A label on a shirt can cause irritation to an autistic child. And it can actually spoil their day, their whole day. So you can't train your child that I'm training my child to bear with the irritation of the label on the shirt. Learn it, you, the mother, learn it, remove the label, and then you will have. So, echombadde njagala addressing kubanga a lot of people have come on and they are mixing the two things. Okubeera neurodivergent doesn't mean you have an illness. It's not an illness, first of all. It's not an illness.
The brain works differently.
Yes, the brain works differently. So ekyo abazadde kubanga n'abalala abaliko temulowooza omuzadde bw'oba oli kuno ng'olina omwana wo ng'ali neurodivergent, don't think you've done something wrong in raising that child. You might have done all the right things, having them on a routine and everything, but it turns out the way it is. And you've not done anything wrong. It's okay to seek help. Help is there, guidance is there, training is there. Learn your child, and then your child can become so much more. Much more.
And if I may add, they're very extremely smart.
Yes, there are some who are very extremely smart, and there are some who are not so lucky like that. But even that smart ones.
I don't know if I will sign up to the saying it's not about luck, it's about nurture.
Yes.
There's a lot of argument about nurture.
Yeah. And the only way to bring out their smartness is you watering it. Exactly. You need to water it. Do not fight it. If it's there, I agree with you, sister, when you say that early diagnosis is not the key. That's it. Because some things they outgrow. Medication, early medication is not the key. I agree to that. But as an educator, I would advise our community. If they've told you that your child has traces of this, first of all, do not just fight it. Why? Because in school, once you fight it, your child is not going to get the support they need. Acknowledge it. If it's actually something they can outgrow, they'll outgrow it. But if it's something that is there and they're actually neurodivergent, then they're getting the support they need and they will support you as a family. Abazadde abaami naddala abaami bambi, you live in denial. Once they say that your child has neurological differently, you then start thinking you're not working together with your spouse into learning, into helping. Mwenna mukole together into yes, fetukuze ebintu ebimu tuyiga biyige, ebintu ebisinga actually tuyiga biyige. We've grown up in a different environment where a child with dyslexic is just mwana musiru, taita, tasoma, but then there are things that can help that child actually achieve much, much more. Kati nze ekyo kye mbadde njagala okuleeta ku light. Thank you, sister. Thank you, sister.
Sister Shakira.
I think we're coming to an end now, aren't we?
Sister Shakira. Yes, one more last hand, and that's it. We to Galewo sister. Waliwo mukono gumusagala guleka.
Haja tuwobolinayo akadde katonotono tusobola okubawa abo ne baleeta kye baleeta ne concludinga.
Okay.
Katuleete omukono gusigadde kubanga egisinga gyonna tugi addressinze, then nja kutunulako ne mu chat, then nga tumala. Omukono gumu kuliko Salongo S, New York. Genda mu maaso sebo.
Yes, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kansubire siryazamanyiza abasajja kubanga babuuza ebibuuzo ebiri so sensitive. Nze ngenda kubuuza ebintu ebiri controversial kuba kati this is tuva mu cultures eziri different. Naye kati interference za like ba siblings oba banazaala abakyala baganya okubuuza ekibuuzo obufumbo obusinga okubanga buli distracted mu diaspora. Obuzibu bwensinga okulaba buva mu background za cultures ez'abantu baffe abasinga abalemesa abantu okubanga they can enjoy their marriage aba interfering. So my question is, Busiraamu bulamula batya bannazaala ababeera ba interfering mu bufumbo bw'abaana baabwe oba ne ku side zombi? Bampulidde ky'abakyala bw'abanga alina misunderstanding n'omwami we alina kuddukira ku side gy'ava. Naye mu background abasajja abasinga bagezaako contradicting obusiraamu ne culture. Ne bagamba ffe abasajja tukola bwe tuti, n'owulira omuntu kati nga like he's trying to contradict obusiraamu ne culture. So sister kati ku side eyo mbadde nsaba tuwulire ku muntu alina vision ey'enjawulo kuba nze badde mu bufumbo for over 20 years. Nengera nendaba interference z'abantu abawangalira Uganda n'akugamba ffe abasajja b'e Uganda tukola bwe tuti ne bwe tuti. N'omugamba n'obusiraamu bwo bugamba ki? Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now, I don't know if I understood the question correctly, but I think the question is about in-laws.
Exactly.
And when we say interference, what exactly do we mean? Because
mainly like the siblings who try to advise you how you should treat a woman without even looking at the background of the Islam. What does Islam says?
So then the idea, even if those people are outside, you know, and they're giving you advice and they're telling you what to do, you still have a choice in the matter to listen or not to listen. So it comes back again to the individual who is being advised. Because if they tell you, he can choose to say, but you know, in Uganda, that's possible, but here, that's not possible. So again, it goes back to the person who is first of all sharing information. You know, there is a lot of mistakes that we make in marriages where we talk about our spouses to our families. And one of the things that a lot of shuyukh say that it is very important not to, because if you do, then you're opening that space up and it becomes crowded. And there are so many ideas that come in and so many advices. This one is telling you, make her sit down. That one is telling you, make her stand up. They're telling you, don't do this for him. Somebody else is telling you, you should do this for him. So it creates a confusion for the couple. I think when people are trying to help, you know, one of the things we think about in my work is that sometimes when there's a conflict in families, what people come up with as a solution, the solution becomes the problem. And so sometimes those solutions are the problem. So it's very important to be measured. If we need help, external help, it's choosing, picking and choosing. Who do you think will be helpful? I don't know if I would say interfering, because one of the things that we think about is families always want what is good for their family member. So they're trying to help, but that help is not helpful. I think that's how I would put it. It's that the help is not being helpful. So how can someone be helpful to you as opposed to just everyone thinks they can help and everyone thinks they know what you need and what works because we've been there before, we've done it before. But I think your context is very important. Living where you live, the life you live, how you live, it's not the same as being back home where you can phone somebody, you can drop your child off somewhere. The lifestyle is very different. So
yeah, the reason why I raised that, like those siblings who are abusive to the spouse because they feel that's their obligation to intervene in the marriages. So that's why I say like this is because it's very sensitive to so many people. The siblings who are abusive to their couples, trying to lean on their side, trying to benefit on their side, not balance the both sides. That's the main exactly why I wanted to bring that question.
But the thing is, the people who are doing the abuse are the people who are in the wrong, not the sibling. Because, you know, I can tell you, Sarongo, if I tell you, bakati oba mchara obutuka waka ngatakoze bwate mkube orui. Nze nkukwata mkono gono n'omukuba.
No.
Sigwe mwenyini ogukwata mkono gono ogukuba. Aiwa, okirabye? Kakati newankubadde bakuwadde advice gwe mwenyini olina okugiweinga out. Is this what I need to do? You can't be a robot, you know, like you are being stringed up and somebody is making you do things. No, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us as individuals responsible. I did it because my brother said it's the right approach. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you responsible for doing it, even if somebody else told you to do it. You have what we call personal agency to make decisions of whether you do it or you don't.
Thank you so much, sister. I'm appreciative for everything, but like being in the limelight, you find like, okay, in the West, about families in abroad, like when we leave them behind, abroad, So yeah, exactly. Those are the things we want to iron out. We find like women here, some of us we are exposed to different culture. We balance it.
I get it. No. Even in all cultures, Arab, Asia, everybody, they talk about the idea that the woman has changed him.
Exactly.
But what we need to do, if you're the man, it's helping them at home to understand that the lifestyle setup here is different. The man I could be in Africa, I can't be that man and make life work.
Exactly. But for me, to be honest, I look at one side because I was never a man in my culture because I grew up here. So like I don't have anything to relate with how men behave because those are the balances we need to understand. Some people, okay, well, look at it. abantu abami abajjanga balina marriage from Uganda and those who had marriages here. So we are totally different people. Kati nze bwe mpisaamu mukyala wange si mukulu wange wajja okuyisaamu abakyala be.
Kabisa. Newankubadde toze wano ng'osigaddeyo eri. When we look at culture, when you are raised in a family, you all work with what your parents are doing. When you leave, personal agency kicks in. So you can have siblings and they were raised together. They follow each other and same mom, same dad, but their cultures in their own independent adult houses don't look alike. You can never know their brothers or their sisters. Why? Because culture is not static, it's not fixed. And because you married somebody who is outside of your house, and your brother married somebody who is outside your family, so you have to find an equilibrium by developing a culture that she has to bring some of hers, you have to bring some of yours, and then you develop something new for your own family. So culture is not rigid, it's not fixed, it's not, well, that's what we do in my family. Women wash my feet, women wash people's feet, so that's what you have to do. No, it's not fixed. Culture is very fluid and it's very adaptable because the person coming into your life also came from a family. And they also have a culture in how they did things.
Yes, Alhamdulillah, but Chimunze, for me, I'm like here as because I'm in a public figure, because I have a good relationship with my father-in-law. So it's not, I'm not talking like which I don't understand. I'm blessed to have that part of it because if I have any problem, I can run to my father-in-law any day, anytime. But I don't think everyone on this platform has that like leverage because my father-in-law is almost like my father, which happened like it was a blessing from Allah. Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister, only in the chat room, the hands are done in the chat room. Dr. Ramsey, ataddeyo mu chat, naye simanyi oba asobola okwogerako naffe. Doctor.
So kyatadde mu chat, wawandikidde mu chat, alabika kyasazeewo ye case ye.
Oh, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I'm going in there as well. Okay, this is an interesting and relevant discussion. Is that it?
Yes, that's Doctor. Yeah.
Ramsey's iPhone.
Yes, Ramsey.
This is an interesting and relevant discussion that touches on every aspect of a family and community. Previous speakers emphasized the prevalence of mental health issues. There are cases of mental health challenges caused by substance abuse later in life, and in some cases induced by medication from misdiagnosis. This should be food for thought. That's just a food for thought for future. And there is so much in what he's saying here when we start to think about some of those substance misuse, the impact on mental health. And yes, there's a whole documentary, if people are interested, that shows, and especially in the States, how people were misdiagnosed and they were put on medication. And there's a group of, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 people trying to sue the pharma industry because of that. So I think what he's saying is it's packed. That's a whole day conversation, but it's food for thought. Jazakallah khair, Doctor. Is there anything else we need to?
Yes, Shekhar, yes, what were previous questions is about Deko. Sister Huzaira Naroga, Yagambi kindly guide me.
Nava Tumaze, Mariam, may we have time? We may have time, but lacking knowledge how to engage our children with being dominant.
Sister Rahmah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Nsanyusa okubawuliza mwenna, nange nina wano ekibuuzo nembeera kuko nange kinjagala okusharingamuko n'abantu inshallah.
Tukitwala ekyo kibeere final.
Kyekiri final, oyo sister wange ye final.
Tumalirawo, we need to pray.
Inshallah. Kakati omusomo guno twaguleeta nga tuguleese with purpose, alhamdulillah. Ensonga zonna nsuubira Aida tuzoogeddeko wabula ensonga eri emu gye yeesiwulidde muntu agireetako naye ng'ate nsubira bamemba munaku emuli alhamdulillah naye nga ensonga eri ku baami abawasa abakyala omukyala n'abeera ng'awasa omukyala owokubiri oba omukyala owokusatu omwami bw'awasa omukyala owokubiri gwabadde naye ng'amujolonga abasajja tebalina nsonyi kugamba mukyala gwakera ku makya n'omujja ewaabwe n'obeera naye nakuzaalira abaana oba 14 years after 14 years ofunye omukyala omulala n'oyetulira mukwano gwo gobodde obeera naye mu mbeera eza bulijjo n'omugamba mukazi gwe sikwagala mukazi gwe oli mubi sikwagala abantu kyabasuula mu mmento mu butuufu omuntu gy'ayinza okubeeramu naga nti ya rabbi mungu kiki kyenaakola njagala bibi Rahmah kiki omwami atuuka ku stage efaanana bw'ekyo kubanga tali omu nali ndowooza nti oba omwana ekigambo baakimugamba bubi oba yes oba no naye nalabyeyokko nange ekiririyo mu Ramadhaani muno nga ndi Makka ng'omwana omuto omuwala akaaba ngamba mbu hajjati naye tukola twawaafu naye nga yegayirira Allah we nti Allah wange maama wange baamulyaza amaanya maama wange baamulyaza amaanya basasule mungu basasule balyaza amaanya maama wange nagezaako controlling omwana ne mugaa nti please eyo dduwa togisoma nengamba hajjati pain gye nnina maama wange baamulyaza amaanya kubanga omwami afunye omukyala omulala bannange abasajja bwe muba muwasa muba musazeewo okwetikka obusiraamu bakugamba wasa okusinziira ku busobozi bw'oba olina naye ekikeeza ku makya noga nti ngenda kuwasa mukyala nojja omukyala gw'obadde naye mu nnyumba for 14 years oba omuwala baamumuwanga mwana muto yamuwasa yamujja ne mu famire nga si nsiraamu bali bennyini ab'ewaffe Katugonda e Masaka bafaadha n'atuuka ku end mu bukadde we omusajja n'amugamba nti nedda fuluma ennyumba sikwagala bannange abasajja kiki kye mwagala bibi Rahmah abantu abo bambuulirireko ddala kiki kye baagala
kakati awo
Bibi
Rahmah nakuomba
wangi sewo
yongerako
Hajjati kyagambye n'abakyala bameka bamanyi abagoba abasajja mu njiro akanyugira ebintu
abo sinnabalaba
Uganda n'abeera naye n'amugoba ekyo kiri nomu kisinziira family giwawasa singa mugobera the teaching of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never be go wrong but abakyala mubasanga mu bigoni mutwala mubasanga mu kubone mubawasa you don't know background you don't research for this the end kyafuna omwami ng'amusindiikiriza kuba talina kyabalirira mega haogope mtu yoyote hata Allah hamwogope nadhani huyo ni sirani nikamuomba anakuja hana family uso yake ni wapi ndio hiyo wana nini walipata
katisera kalanta otugambe kisinziira omuntu wajabawasiza
takwendako katono nshala obudde seeka amaleyo kuba twagala tumbombe programu tugenda wajja
hata baadhi maenda kafaa baadhi maenda shurutu omuntu yenna toyinza genda wa maka ga mukwaya example kuboyo kujja wange nowasaba omwana n'omufulumya bwoti tekisoboka kuba omwana wakitiibwa ekitaawe wakitiibwa n'abaganda be naye mwe mulonda bulonzi bakyala mu luguudo muba okujja mu kanisa yagendayo tomanyi origini gye yava n'omuwasa n'atuukayo n'asiramuka oluusi asiramuse haafu tomanya bibeera mu nnyumba amala kuba musaalaba n'alinnya obuliri n'agamba nsonyiwa haaji ebintu byeta ebyofumbo senga ogoberera the teaching of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam you follow as he require you never go wrong but always muyimbi agamba ng'omuntu agaga walhubbu ya'taridu ladhati fil alami. Salamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Warahmatullahi
Sega kalantane. Barakallahu fiiku kweyo ensonga era obusiraamu bukugamba munoonye wa era baga nti munoonye wa gye mugenda okuteeka amazzi gammwe mukinoonyeeko mugende mu maaso naye bw'obanga ofunye
Yogere mu Luwarabu fa inna al-irka dassas naye toyogere munyoonya ensigo ye wonoogissa.
Kaakati bw'omala okuginoonya wonoogissa oba oginoonyeeyo ginoonyeezaayo naye bw'eba egaanye embeera gye twawukana namu baatugamba twawukane mu bulungi oluusi mutusibirire nako naye kaakati abasajja bye baba bakola wallahi nze nasooka kukiwuliriza mu conference gye twalimu naye kati nazzeemu nekiraba omwana ng'akaaba maziga agamba wallahi Allah wange maama wange baamulyaza amaanyi Allah wange neŋŋamba ya rabbi mungu ozire kukaaba naye nga gwe
Maama awo wenyini oba oyimirira omuntu ogenda kaaba nga tasomye nibyasabirawo tebikola.
Naam, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam Sheikh.
Amiru, yes, naam. Badde nsaba okkirize Bibi Rahmah alabika. So in fact tugenda kusaala abamu tugenda kusaala ekirala njagala nsaba Bibi Rahmah nina kano kenjagala okukuwa kwoba era kwoba mu dakiika ntono nnyo kwoba wumbira nabadde mpulira Seeka Bosanga yankola ebibuuzo twabadde kavidiyo kagunda balengenda kakuplayinga kaddakiika 5 naye kankagambe bugambe kwegamba nawulidde nga Seeka alinga ayagala n'okukaaba naye kwegamba nawulidde bubi nnyo. Omukyala yabuze ekibuuzo nagamba Seeka ompa magezi ki? Era kino kyenja okusaba omukyala oyo omuwa magezi ki? Kuba n'abasajja kuno kwe bali n'abakyala kwe bali aga nti omusajja wange ankuba nga mugambyeko ensobi zakola ate ankuba ku mutwe. Subhanallah. Gamba nawulidde bubi nnyo.
Kakati ye Sheikh yamugambye ki?
Yagazazzaako naga nti oli musajja wa ngeri ki ggwe akwata omwana wa bano n'omukuba singa ddala abadde wuwo kati tubadde baana bato alhamdulillah kati tukuze tulina abaana abawala naye egamba a'udhu billah omwana wo gamba nti omusajja bamugambako ankuba ate ankuba ku mutwe ne woba wamulonda ku kkubo naye ate gwe walonda omwana w'abantu n'omupa bw'otyo. Seeka alina yawulira ekyokuleberako n'aleeta ekyokuleberako kakiribu kalimu nga haji ebutambala eyo muwala we yamugamba nti omusajja yankuba olubale taata n'asirika n'ajjanjaba omwana yagaye nti yaba ekyakuleberako naga nti n'akuba ono eyawassa muwala we n'amugamba nti owulira okulumwa okwo nange omwana wange bw'alumwa okuba otya omwana wange olubale nawulirako omunga aga nti nze omuntu bw'akuba omwana wange nange mukuba. Ebirala naalibadde naye obudde bwengeri gye bugenze bwenja okusaba you a psychologist nga gundi banange tujja kuddamu olulala mutusonyiwe naye mu butono nnyo mu ddakiika wrapping up omukyala oyo omuwa magezi ki wangi.
Before wrapping up, also, Dr. abadde antumye wano mu private message Shekat Bibi wamala answering ekibuuzo kye nina akalango kantumye okuyisaawo wetuba tumaze wemba gwe kusima kwammwe.
Akalango ojja kukayisaawo inshallah koko
neyanziza ssebo
tumale okumala omusomo
inshallah neyanziza.
So I think it's very important for us to really stop and think about marriage. Marriage is a contract between two people, and we become halal to one another in the name of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ, in his final sermon, he talked about a woman that you don't own her. She has only become a woman to you, halal, in the name of Allah. So there is an issue of amana here. If that man is beating up the woman like that, he doesn't have a relationship with Allah himself, but he will be responsible. But this is where a woman, this is where now we need to do the distinction between religion and culture. Islam allows you to live. We have here, when we're looking at domestic violence, I think the statistics are we have somebody somewhere every couple of minutes being killed in a love relationship. And it's not because somebody went to kill you, but it's because of beating and the way you get beaten that there's people dying because of being in relationships where there's beating. Now, if somebody is beating you on your head, you have no chance of actually surviving that. Even if you come out of that relationship, you don't know what damage he's doing. So I think there's here where this is where we need to bring the distinction between culture and the religion. And in religion, if he cannot take care of what is a trust to him, this thing only became halal to you in the name of Allah. And if you can't have that ihsan to be with the person, you are not supposed to hit them. But if you have a problem that you have to hit them, then you have to remove yourself from harm. And then let's talk about it after you've removed yourself. If people want to sit down, let's talk, let's give you a warning, let's give you conditions before you take her back. But you need to take that responsibility of looking after yourself by taking yourself out of the space. And then let all the talking happen. It's not let me take it because I'm having sabr. Remember what we said? Sabr is not doing nothing. Patience is doing something, is action, is move. You need to endure so you can go get people involved. If the guy needs help, sometimes people just need a bit of help. They need mental health support. They need therapy. Whatever the guy needs, it has to be done, but not with you in the space. I think culturally, then people start talking about how do you go? It's a aibu sijui nini. There are so many different cultural things that keep people in. But just take the Islam, you are not supposed to put yourself in harm's way. No, you have a responsibility to remove yourself from harm's way. I think that's how I would end it. And a lot of people will struggle with that. I do this work and I normally have people who say, I ask when I have a couple, is there physical abuse? So then we'll say, if we're starting the work, that can't happen. But if it is not, if somebody just comes to me and says, he hits me, and have you involved your family? Have you spoken to this person? The idea is you have to leave that space. Don't put yourself in harm's way. That's an Islamic rule. And then I'm not saying leave and that's it, forget it. You have to try and do sulh. People have to intervene. People have to understand why is the guy doing this, and people have to put conditions in. But it doesn't mean that, okay, today you gave me one, tomorrow you gave me a harsher one, the next day you gave me even harder. Because when people hit, it's because they want to make you listen. And the more they hit, the harder they hit. That's the psychology of hitting. You have to make it more. Escalate. You have to escalate it. Yesterday I kicked you. Today I'm going to push you. Today I'm going to punch you. I'll push you down the stairs. I know people who take their wife out in the garden and lock the door in winter and she's in a nightdress because she made some mistake. But the idea is if he can't honor his responsibility with Allah of amana, that you are only a trust, he doesn't own you. Doesn't matter how much money you paid. for mahar, to give to the parents. You can't buy and own another human being. So I think the woman, you have to remove yourself and then involve the families to resolve the issue, but you don't stay in the space. Something is not right. This man, something is not right. He needs help. And just even intervention of what Kalishe meeting, and everybody gives him a good telling is what needs to happen. What happens is there's a lot of secrecy in domestic violence. We keep it secretly. We don't talk about it. We tell somebody quietly. Secrecy allows it to grow. You have to go and remove yourself. Say, Jama, mwanume ananipiga, msaja ankuva. And that something has to be stopped. You can't put yourself in harm's way. Islamically, you will also be responsible. You have to go and get the family involved to resolve whatever needs to be resolved. A man who tells his wife, I've never loved you, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, he's ungrateful. And the woman doesn't have to take it. You know, personal agency exists. And if now he's got 2 other wives and he thinks you're ugly, he doesn't want you anymore, khalas, alhamdulillah. But when the time was right, you wanted me. Now you don't want me. She doesn't have to take it personally. Wewe gwengo mchara, omusajja bakugamba oli ugly, sijui oli sikwagala ngako, sijui nini. Mwambie, okay, it's not my problem. You stayed with me for 10 years. I never forced you. And if you don't want me now, that's fine. Instead of taking it as something is wrong with you, it's not that whatever that man is doing is not about you, it's about him. He's showing you his ugly character, and don't forget that he will be held responsible. You know, there is something so beautiful about Islam that maybe we don't understand. Islam gives us freedom. We are not owned. My husband doesn't own me. My boss doesn't own me. My parent doesn't own me. Allah is my owner. Allah owns me. That is so much freedom in your life, in what you can choose and how you can do things. And Islam gives us answers to tackle these things. So it doesn't mean everybody should leave, but we are saying, let's address it. Doing nothing is not an option. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.
Banange mutusonyiwe.
Amen.
Tukomya barakallahu fikum. Linda ko
Sheikh.
katono ojati. Just a second. Tugenda kukomaawo. Bibi Rahmah tukwebaza nnyo. Tumeshukuru sana. Nabadde moderator angami. Posi angami sigalako.
Zensinze.
Ngasola ko. Wasi ofukidira muda of sasa umesema kama Mganda mwenyewe.
Kabisa nzensinze.
Ndio Mganda anasema. Lakini tumeshukuru sana. Naomba Mungu akupe baraka.
Sote. All of us inshallah.
Mungu akubula mu bulungi. Alongosi n'abaana. Bannange oyo ewaffe mwannyinaze maama w'abaana buli kimu family. Era wano tumusaba najja era tukwebaza. Ajja wonna we tubeera n'atusomesa. Tujja kuddamu tumuyite inshallah. Topic ezo zimu nga tuzaawudde nti emu bweti asobole okutuwa more time. Inshallah Mungu anaaba atuwadde obuwangazi. Naam, over to you Sister Aziza kuba akalango kaffe. Sooka osibule Bibi Rahmah, oluvannyuma inshallah tugende mu kalango kaffe inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
Sister Bibi banange. Everyone bana tweyanziza nnyo omusomo gwaffe guno. Nnyo bambi nnyo kubanga buli ali ku mukutu guno tubeebaza wenna contributions embadde nazo. Allah yeebale tukkiriza ffenna ne tusinkana buli omu kyabadde alina ku mutima n'akijjayo. Naye I am aware nti mu chatroom tubaddeyo n'ebibuuzo naye however sister Bibi bajja kuddamu bamutuleetere bambi bemba naye nfubye okulaba nti buli omu abuuza ekibuuzo naye bwe mbasituukirizzaako naye I know sister Bibi ajja kudda inshallah. Tukwebaza nnyo twebaza nnyo Allah okutuwa ate era tukuwishingira the best inshallah tukusaba okomewo.
Nange neyanziza nnyo because you know without the operators in the background,
yes yenyabo
it happens. So you guys are working. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in the work you are doing. May He accept. May
Amen.
He ease in it, and may He make it the asbab, yani the reason to help people to rectify and make changes that they want in their lives.
Amen.
The people in the background, you are doing all the work. We don't do anything. You guys are doing the work. May Allah accept it from all of you.
Amen. Amen.
Having me and giving me an opportunity.
Amen. Naffe tukweyanziza nnyo era Allah akuwe ky'osinga okwagala ate ne bayizi bannanga bali kuno mwena Allah bawe kye musinga okwagala. Mbaagala nnyo, mbaagalira ddala. Kati waliwo kye tuyisaawo, tulina Idi yaffe Idi Aduha egenda okubeera Maryland